you'll quite often hear captains or fellow seamers say to bowlers, don't get bored. If you've bowled 5 dot balls, don't try and bowl a magic ball that pitches on leg and it's the top of off. We saw this morning, by creating pressure and bowling those 7 maidens on the spin, Anderson and Broad, then through that pressure, you don't need to bowl a magic ball. The batsmen will make the mistake from themselves because they will then try and do something different because they want to see the scoreboard tick. So, talking of shots, Toby Tarrant whopped me everywhere this afternoon.
So have you turned him into this wonderful, middle order stroke player then? No,
it's funny because I thought Toby Radford would have a hell of a job on his hands, but we were only giving him throwdowns, but got all the shots. I was picking balls up left, right, and centre. Having to charge all over the place. But no, we had some great fun actually filming that this afternoon. So I think that'll be a nice little piece that we can do in the second or third test.
Yeah, look forward to that. And of course, as time goes on, maybe we'll get listeners to send in examples of their own inadequacies with bat and ball, and get some experts to commentate or to comment on them. We have a tweet from Jeff Perkins. In the meantime, he says, I thought Hendo reminded us of pastries because of his flakiness. Very good, Jeff. Perhaps you need to go back to writing some more jingles. Anyway, Anna Forsyth says, I've never heard of it, but apparently British Columbia is playing a cricket tournament starting today. I shall report back on Saturday, hopefully after a Vancouver victory. I'm just trying to open up that. It's the 7 days live T20, which starts tomorrow, and you can watch it on freesports.tv, whatever that is. I think I might even have that somewhere on my TV, and you can also look at a stream via Free Sports Player as well. Vancouver take on Victoria at 5 o'clock. I presume that's 5 o'clock BC time. And then Kelowna take on Surrey. That's where Surrey have got. That's where all their players have got to. They're playing in the 7 days live T20. So we'll look forward to Anna reporting back on that tomorrow. We need to find out what that is. It actually makes me segue into a discussion, Jono, I think we were all having on the WhatsApp group earlier in the week, that was put out, a statement that was put out by the Players Union, I think, of the players that is around the world, as opposed to the PCA in this country, about how many players were either underpaid or not paid in various T20 and T20 competitions in the last year or two.
Yeah, I think there's a massive disparity across all cricket. We often talk about the big three in terms of the international sides getting all the majority of the money. More of a point when the West Indies were over, but I think it's the same. All the big stars command these huge pay packets to go and play in these global franchise leagues, and then there's the younger lads who are doing the same amount of training, probably working harder to try and force their way into a side. But for the time being, whilst they're not a name in inverted commas, and they're expected almost to do it for free, which is, you can't play everybody, but surely, Virat Kohli will understand that he was once that young lad who was trying to break into a side. But then, do you ask him to take $100,000 off his pay packet? Would he be willing to do that to spread it around the younger lads? I don't know. I don't know.
But do you think? And Bear's just joined us as well. Do you think there is a problem about the credibility of a lot of these tournaments?
Well, we certainly were talking, weren't we, about the IPL going on too long and it becoming boring, and at times, because there's so many games. Probably arguably the same with the Big Bash. Every country that plays cricket now, from in the Big Ten, let's say, one of their own franchise leagues. Like we've seen the 100 come out of nowhere, which a lot of people think is going to be a bit of a nothing tournament because the ECB lost 2020. We came up with 2020 and then let the world run away with it. But people see it as a massive revenue stream in terms of extra games, extra crowds, beer money for the Oval where I'd go, for example, or what have you. But it's almost becoming a bit farcical, I think. You can only look. There's room for probably 3 or 4 of these decent tournaments. You start doing too many of them, and it almost lessens the value of any.
It dilutes it. It's hard to keep up with it, isn't it?
Well, it is, and they're bloody everywhere, aren't they? Everyone's got a bloody T20 league,
or a T10.
Well, T10's even more absurd. It's just a slugfest. It becomes more and more. Might as well flip a coin at some point,
Well, I suppose if you go down to its basics, cricket is about slogging the ball, isn't it? When it was, when they first dreamed of it in Hambledon or wherever, and had quite sort of thin bats. It was surely your natural inclination if someone says to you, let's have a game of bat and ball, is as the man with the bat in his hand is to hit it as hard as you possibly can. It's almost as if I feel, I mean, although it is kind of depressing how many sorts of these tournaments there are, it is going back to the basics almost of a bat and ball game.
Yeah, I think so. Awkwardly, so Benny Howell, who plays for Gloucester, he's a fantastic T20 cricketer. Probably unlucky not to have been called into an England one day or T20 setup yet. I think the young lad from Worcester, whose name escapes me for the time being, Pat Brown, seems to have jumped ahead of him in the queue.
He's had injuries though, hasn't he, Pat Brown? I think that was one of his problems in the winter. Yeah.
But Benny will go away and play in these different, the PSL or the Bangladeshi Premier League or these T10 tournaments, because those players who are probably just under the international radar can still, in their time away from Gloucester where Benny plays, see that as an extra revenue stream. So it's almost for the organisers justifying the existence of these competitions because they will get international talent to come in and play for them. So it's a bit of a vicious circle, isn't it?
Are they the types of players though who don't end up getting paid as well? They're the ones who slip off the bloody radar and go, well.
I think this is what this statement from FICA, I think it was pointing out that because they don't have that cachet, I suppose, is that some of the companies or the individuals putting up money for these tournaments actually don't necessarily have that money to offer, and these contracts are being given out, even if they are contracts. Maybe they're word of mouth, who knows? But it is worrying if you're a professional cricketer, if you think you're going to make a decent amount from a short tournament and you can't actually claim that money. Anyway, we'll move on because Test cricket is about to resume. Not Fred Titmuss is going to take over in the ball-by-ball chair. He'll be joined by Jono and the Bear. I'll be taking a break. Grubby is coming up in the second session, so don't forget to join us. It's over to Fred for the final session.
Yeah, don't just wait for Grubby, listen to us as well.
Hello,
Bear.
Hello there, Fred.
On with you today.
Well, I was going to say, I was listening to you guys yesterday, and you were saying Butler owes runs, and how much would he owe? Well, he owes 103 at the moment, or something. 105? No, 107. Well, he was dropped and missed stumping on 45, and therefore he currently owes 107 runs.
Well, what happens if you drop somebody 3 times? Do you count all those runs?
Yes, of course you fucking do.
He's not had a great day. We don't need to belabor it, but we probably will. Hello, Jono. Good to see you again.
Hey, Fred.
We've spent most of the last 3 days in each other's company.
And it's been I must say.
Well, I'm going to play some jingles, and this rarely happens. 6th session in a row starting it is this man.
Sean Massoud was born in Kuwait in October 1989. Less than a year later, Saddam Hussein invaded. Coincidence? Yeah, you keep telling yourself that.
He's facing up to Jofra Archer first ball after tee, and he turns this into the leg side where it's fielded by Hope, and there's no run. You want to jingle up the bowler?
Oh, well, indeed, it sounds like this.
He will break your helmet, break your heart, hotter than lava, cooler than Bogart, in your face, at your stumps, on your toes, on your mum. Jofra Archer.
Short ball. Pulled round the corner for a single. Is he going to take the single and expose Shaheen? No, I don't think he is. So we're going to have one of these tedious spells where the bowlers are not trying to get one batsman out and the batsman's trying to stay on strike. I think if I were Pakistan, I'd look to just take as many runs as possible here.
Yeah.
Although the sun is out at Old Trafford, we haven't said that very often. Short ball from Archer, and it's pulled to long leg. Has he got it fine enough? He has. Stuart Broad can't come round, and that's 4 runs.
That was a pretty poor ball.
It was outside leg stump, and it didn't bounce very high, so he could swivel, pull it, and get up right on top of it and get it very fine. So it's a good shot.
Looked like a no ball from
a man.
Almost the Stokes Leach bidding league thing now, isn't it? Where Masood's just going to try and get as many as he can.
Short ball again and pulled out to deep backward square. Are they going to take the single for the fourth ball of the over?
I think they did.
No.
No?
Yeah, they did.
No.
I'm sure
They haven't.
did.
You know?
Yeah, Shaheen's on strike, man.
Oh, yeah, they have. Yeah, it was a long time to update. Anyway, single to Shan. He's up to 156, 317 for 8. Eunice Khan is practicing for his sketch class with a giant notebook. And he's taken that as a hobby up during lockdown. So we want to see his pencil sketches of a rose and a chrysanthemum at some point in the series. Archer into the tail end of Shaheen. So ball is on leg stump. And he turns this round to long leg. Are they going to take the single now? Don't know.
Don't think they did that time.
No. So he's protecting Shan Masood on 159 by taking the last ball of this over. This time looks quite young and fit. He probably could do a job out there himself today.
34
What about the
tons.
hair? That might not be his natural hair colour. As Archer bowls on leg side, he goes up for an LBW. I think that was heading down the leg side. Richard Illingworth shakes his head. Archer is put his hands on his knees, bent over. Joe Root doesn't look like he's going to review this one. He's got 6 seconds left. Is he going to do a Virat Kohli last second review? No, he's not. So the end of the over, 107 overs gone, 317 for 8. Any tweets?
Yes, we have Farong with us, still in Dakar. A tasty final session awaits. Anything over 300 gives you a chance. The brandy experiment is going well. Just need to test a final variation. Cheers from Dakar.
Yeah, the Hawkeye of that last ball suggested the ball was going well wide of leg stump, so not worth a review. Who's going to be bowling from the other end? Stuart Broad was on just before tea. He had the last over before tea. Perhaps he'll keep going. It looks like he is, yes. He'll be bowling round the wicket to the left-handed Shan Masood. An angle of attack that's been very successful for Broad over the last couple of years, but not in this game as yet.
How do you think England will feel about this score? I mean, it's not. There are times when it could have been looked like it might well be 450, and then other times when they thought, oh, we maybe I'll get them out for 260, 270.
I think they'll be right about the two leg spinners going into the fourth innings.
Well, that's what I'm scared of. Oh,
Broad bowls, and they go up for an LBW appeal, and it's given it after some delay. There was a lot of thought there by the umpire. Is it going to be reviewed? It was a full ball, and it looked like he was trapped in front of middle and off stumps. They're discussing whether to review it or not. I'm not sure. They should review it.
They should do.
They should review it,
and they have
anyway.
It's one
and
of
they
these.
have done.
I was definitely in. Were you definitely in? I don't know.
It's tricky.
It could be a bit high, but it hit him on the back foot above the pad, but his leg was a little bit bent and it was well back in his crease.
And it's not an inside edge. Yeah, it's only just above the knee roll on his front pad. It's probably going
It
to
only
clip
needs to
leg
be
stump.
clipping because it was given out, and it is clipping leg stump, says Hawkeye. So Shan's long innings has come to an end, and a very good innings it was too.
Good decision, that.
Bear, you were talking about having played his jingle at the start of every session, how unusual that was. When Jim Laker took 10 wickets in the second innings against Australia at Old Trafford in 1956, it spanned 4 days because of bad weather.
What, 10? Those 10 wickets?
10 wickets were taken on 4 days, which is incredible, really. That the first 2 innings had been complete in sort of a day and 3/4, and it got to the end of the 5th day before England won it.
Can I just come back? Just want to say that about Richard Catterbury, the umpire there. I think it's a very good decision from him because it's very easy now for umpires. Umpires, if they think it's hitting the stumps, should give it out. And this umpire's call malarkey, where it's got to be half a ball, blah 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 blah, based on umpire's call. Very easy for umpires to get away with not giving decisions where balls are hitting the stumps. Considering Hawkeye is supposed to be accurate to within 5 millimetres.
Exactly, I agree with you on that. I mean, I heard that. I mean, this is a long time ago. I remember someone putting it out on our feed, and it was supposedly Kumble had gone over to see Hawkeye, and they'd done the tolerance down to 25% of the ball, but it just seems to be nonsense. It's still half the ball, isn't it? So
let's jingle up the new batsman, the number 11.
Well, we shall do after this ball.
After this ball, Stuart Broad's bowling to him 3 slips and a gully. He tries to play a crabby defensive shot, misses it completely. It's this chap.
Is it this chap?
When the sea shone and told, he said to his dad that you're the man of the house now, because the sea chart is just that good.
I reckon he
Wow.
could do Toby Radford handiwork, I reckon.
That was
Something.
that was an interesting jiggle.
Crab-like.
Anyway, Stuart Broad suddenly has a spring in his step as he's bowling to number 10 and 11. He strides back to his mark and then runs in and bowls a poor ball down the leg side, which the batsman doesn't make any attempt to play. 317 for 9. Is it a good score? Well, we never know the answer to that question. I will say wickets have fallen in clumps for Pakistan, and that's something that England are prone to as well. So
Yes.
with the weather set fair for the next 3 days, from what I've seen, I don't think this test's going to be a draw.
Well, England's last 2 first innings scores have been, what, 400 and 450?
England need a lead in the first innings, I think. I think the 2 leg spinners are going to be dangerous in the 4th innings.
Broad bowls again down the leg side. He tries to flick it fine, does Naseem, misses the ball. Butler does a good take down the leg side.
Love his bat. It's got lots of red marks on it. None of this clean face nonsense that comes out with all these bats on all the time. It's a well-used bat.
Yeah, those people who sort of shave off the red marks on the edges and leave the ones in the middle, they should do it the other way round. That way you can fool an opposition who has never really seen you before.
That's true.
As Naseem faces up to Broad, that's a better ball, just off stump, and somehow or other, with a bat which comes down from about backward point to mid-on, he does manage to defend it on the offside. Yeah, it is a very, very dirty bat.
Needs
Like he's been playing in some games where the ball's got muddy.
nail varnish remover, that'll sort that out.
Is that what you
Yeah,
use?
our beautician correspondent, John O'Gordon, is giving all the tips.
Does the missus clean your bat then?
I wish.
Naseem faces up to Broad. He does get the bat on this and then plays a bizarre Steve Smith, like as though Steve Smith had left the ball after he's hit it by waving his bat towards square leg. The end of the over, a successful one for Broad. He got the opening batsman Shan Masood. It's taken England a day and 3/4 to get his wicket, and they're 9 wickets down. Any tweets?
Yes, Abhishek Chopra says, folks, good evening from madly rainy Bombay. How be all of you doing? He then, where is that on? Ravi the heavy roller ready says, I reckon England will be 3 down by the close of play.
Could be.
A lot of people are looking forward to seeing Naseem Shah bowl. A lot of talent, a lot of raw pace, as you often find with Pakistan bowlers new to Test cricket.
Archer bowls full on off stump, and the left-handed Shaheen defends to mid-on. Does he mean 3 down in the first innings or the second innings? For England.
Oh, Fred. If we're 3 down in the second innings.
Oh, it's a no ball. It's been called by the third umpire, and the scorers
Free
have already
hit,
putting the
free
dot
hit,
have now
free
had to
hit.
change it. That's a big no ball.
Over the line!
I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a foul.
Well, Knuckles says that Illingworth called that himself, but if so, he took a pretty long time about it. Either that or the cameraman didn't pick him up. As Archer bowls again. Was that a slower ball, or did my picture buffer? No, it was full, and it was driven up to mid-off, no run.
It looked like he rolled his fingers across it, a bit like an off break though, and a slightly
Yeah.
rounded arm.
I think what happened was that Illingworth called it, and then he waited for confirmation from the third umpire that he'd got it right, possibly. Yes. Bit odd. Another thing to waste time about. Sound like Gary now. Full ball, which is defended into the leg side by Shaheen. No run.
UBF Ricardo says, it was one of my first experience of, hey, maybe these people don't write their own tweets. I still remember being naively and self-righteously disappointed when he kept banging on about chicken fucking legends.
Who?
No idea. I don't. That must have been from something from earlier, I'd imagine.
Probably Shane Warne.
Yeah, probably.
As Archer bowls a short ball, no fast bowlers union nowadays, and Shaheen ducks underneath it. He's a very tall man, so he only had to sway his head a little bit downward.
Ravi, the heavy roller ready, says, fantastic knock by Sean. 156 sets a positive tone for this test as well as the series. Quite right.
Well, it does, and they've got a pretty good bowling unit as well. They've got a pretty sorted side, don't they?
Is it only one test at Manchester, or is it two?
I think it's only one.
As Archer bowls a full toss on leg stump, which is turned through the large open spaces on the leg side for a really comfortable 4.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Yeah, it was an attempted slower ball, wasn't it?
It was a slower ball, which he got wrong. It turned out to a slow leg side full toss. You wonder whether all the variations are necessary against number 10 and 11, or whether he should just concentrate on trying to hit the top of off stump.
Exactly. He'll learn. He's got two of the best to learn from. I think if you get Anderson and
Archer bowls again down the leg side, and again it's played quite nicely through backward square leg. There's no chance of anyone catching that off. 8 runs off 2 balls.
2 + 2 is a man. 2 + 2 is a man.
I mean, this is the thing. If you can keep Anderson and Broad fit for another year and a half and get these guys, I mean, Wokes is already sorted, and get Archer in, let them get in his ear and teach him stuff, because he can be a bit wayward. His lines can be a bit off. He's got raw pace and he's clearly got raw talent.
Yeah, not always are the best players the best coaches. So
yeah, but when you're out on a pitch, you know, and you've got to use that advice, and you've got to discuss it in the dressing room and stuff.
This is a better ball from Archer. It's full and straight, and it's defended by Shaheen. End of the over, 326 for 9.
And it was interesting, you know, I was listening out there. I had you guys talking, and the TV's on as well. You've got two sort of feeds. You've got to tune in and out. And it's kind of true. I mean, you look, Broad was used as an enforcer, and that was his role for a while. But he's bowled so much better when he's bowled a foot of a length, and you kind of feel that England kind of use that. And you know, they use Archer as that, and everyone sees that as his role. But maybe he's a better bowler. You know, he does get it to jag off the seam, and he can do things with the ball. And maybe they ought to be. I don't know if that is true, or maybe that's a story by the media, but if it is true, then maybe they ought to consider not doing that and letting him assess the situation as a true bowler should, and bowl for himself. Ooh.
This is on the hip of Nassim. The ball going down the leg side. He does wave the bat of it, misses it, unsurprisingly.
I mean, we've all played, and I think, you know, if you play the game, if you're good at your craft, you kind of assess the situation. Whatever level it at, you know, I can assess the second level.
It takes a while for players who are new into a team to for the captain to rely on them. You know.
Yes. And there's always a sense you've got to prove yourself. It's never a comfortable situation to be in.
Broad bowls again. It's down the leg side. He's not bowling particularly good lines to these tail enders.
I don't know if either of you saw that. There was a replay there.
Yeah.
With where Broad's then got Sean, that one's burst through the top. That is not a particularly good sign for England batting second and fourth.
Indeed.
In the first innings, I think they need to be probably 150 ahead at least.
Yeah, although I do remember S.S. Sean having a first good test last time he came here. He did all right in the next one. Ooh.
That's a better line from Broad, just outside the off stump, and has he got a nick on that?
Oh, I think he has.
Yes, he has, and Butler's taken the catch. That's the end of the Pakistan innings. They are reviewing it because you have to review it.
You might as well.
The last wicket, and you've got reviews in line. You might find his foot was over the line. You might find anything, but it was given out, and perhaps the batsman thinks that if Butler took it, it couldn't possibly have been out. Let's have a look. It's a good ball just outside the off stump.
Oh, if it's anything, it's a bit of glove, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it clipped it looks like it caught the thumb of the glove. Missed the bat by a long way, but.
And the glove was holding the bat at the time.
And it's there.
And there's a little nick on ultra edge, so the decision will be upheld. That's the end of the Pakistan innings. And 326 all out it is. And England, it's not going to be a tricky session. They've got to bat for, well, it's going to be a couple of hours.
It's going to be
Sibley and
fair
Burns
few
to run
times.
off to pad up.
Let's give a jingle for the out.
Messi Jez has been back in touch just regarding umpires making LBW decisions. I think this is at Hendo. I agree that umpires should give those LBWs, says the man who prides himself on never having given an LBW in his life.
Have you not?
I thought Hendo, isn't it? I thought Hendo.
Oh, I see. Oh.
An LBW.
Well, the Bear was given out LBW by one of his co-commentators in the Guerrilla Cricket Dan Lucas Memorial match last year, and he hasn't stopped moaning about it ever since.
Somehow he's still with us. I don't know how that happened. You know, it was a terrible decision as well. But
it was plum.
Absolutely plum. Bollocks! It was going miles down leg side.
Right, I did see some doing some on-air production notes. I did see some remaining shift information. So we're going till 5 o'clock. Okay, that's the next one.
And then it'll be me, Hendo, and Grubby, a dream team of sorts. We should tell you let's run through the scorecard, shall we? Has anyone got it in front of them? I can get it in front of me.
I'll do it when I find it. Yes, Pakistan's 326 all out. First batsman to go was Abid Ali, bowled Archer for 16, then Azhar Ali, the captain, LBW bowled Wokes for 0. Babar Azam batted really well and then got out in the first over of the day for 69, caught root bowled Anderson. Asad Shafiq, Broad, first wicket, caught by Stokes at second slip. Mohammad Rizwan didn't play particularly well, looked a bit, it didn't look as if he was very comfortable. He was caught behind off Wokes for 9. Shadab Khan, who batted well with Shan Masood, who's been batting all this time. They ran well. England didn't bowl particularly well. He was caught root bowled best and finally hit one high up in the air. Root took it at mid-off 45. Yasir Shah was LBW, bowled Archer for 5. Mohammed Abbas caught root bowled Archer for 0. Then the opener, eventually Shan Masood, an innings of 156, faced 319 balls with 18 fours and 2 sixes. A really high quality knock. He was LPW to Broad. He reviewed it, but the third umpire, Hawkeye, showed that it was clipping leg stump. And finally, Nasim Shah was caught behind by Butler off Broad for 0. So 326 all out in 109.3 overs, just under 3 and over. Bowling figures: Jimmy Anderson, 19 overs, 6 maidens, 1 for 63. Wasn't at his best, but got a very important wicket of Babar Azam first thing this morning. Stuart Broad, 22.3 overs, 9 maidens, 3 for 54. Picked up a couple of wickets at the end, but was tight all the way through. Chris Wokes, 20 overs, 6 maidens, 2 for 43. Was asked to do some strange bouncy work by his captain. Jofra Archer, 22 overs, 4 maidens, 3 for 59. When he finally came into the attack towards the end of the second session, was immediately successful. Don Best, 20 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 74. Don't look great figures, but he did have a couple of catches and a stumping miss. And Joe Root, bewilderingly, 6 overs, none for 25. The England batsman will be out in about 5 minutes, so let's wibble until then. Jono will give us some social media messages.
Yeah, there isn't a huge amount come through actually since we've. So just give me a second to catch.
Well, let me do a little bit of marketing then. Peeps, the GPL has already closed. There were 6 entries today. But ways you can help us. And one of the ways you can help us is Patreon us, obviously. If you Patreon us, if you're watching on YouTube or any other thing, if you Patreon us, currently you get one of these T-shirts. It's a World Cup T-shirt that the ICC threatened to ban us for. So we got stock left over, and we got large. What we got? We got I think medium, large, XL, and double XL left. And there's a few of them. And anyone who $10 patrons, whilst we're on air and these test matches are going on, and whilst we say this. Until they're out of stock, you get a free T-shirt, and we'll pay for the postage. It doesn't seem to be too much anywhere in the world. So please do it.
sponsor us. And Hot Mic. Let's
And
not
Hot
forget
Mic, of course. The Hot Mic app is genius, as we've been spouting along all the time, but it's great. It's another way of helping us. And it doesn't cost you an absolute penny. And you probably actually do get the best experience because you get to see us, you can hear us, you can put us on in the background if you want to do something else on your phone, and you will not lose us. You can sync it to your telly. There's a real simple sync function on it. You just press the button and it'll tell you whether your TV's ahead or behind and what to do, or it'll automatically pause and catch up with the telly, that kind of thing, which is really good. And you can tip us on there, if you think we're doing a good job. As Endo said earlier, I don't think people do have £1,000 lunches and tips of $100 are not necessarily. But if you want to, tip us $1, $2, $5 because you think we're doing a good job, please do. It's all available on the Hot Mic app. You just download it, and every time you download it, which costs you nothing, and put in GC Radio, and that's the thing to remember, use the invite code GC Radio, you follow us, and they'll pay us some money, and you get that great experience. What more could you want, man? That's genius.
I think Hendo probably does spend about £1,000 when he goes to Greg's for lunch, just on pastries.
A damn lot of pastries. He'd be a lot bigger than he is.
We do have some tweets. Mohammed Usama says Pakistan should have another fast bowler in the lineup. I guess Sahel or Wahab shouldn't be dropped. Kansab says, what a time it was for Pakistan when Saeed Anwar could make 176 without facing 300 balls. I don't know if he's trying to suggest that Shah Masood maybe could have gone about his innings maybe a little bit quicker. There's a conversational piece going on about Mark Butcher. His 173 was made in August 2001 against the Australians. And Andrew Veer says, in response to messages, your wise advice has led to many wickets. Hashtag rum and wine for wickets.
Well, we're full of wise advice, but we don't take any responsibility for wickets taken or lost, other than ones that we're involved with personally.
Absolutely.
So it's going to be difficult for the England openers. It's always difficult for opening batsmen. It's not an easy job, but it's what they get paid the big bucks for. And Sibley and Burns are going to be entrusted to get England off to a good start. 326. I'm thinking that is probably slightly above average score. I think 300 is maybe a decent score on this wicket. We've seen it do a little bit, not too much for the seam bowlers, and there wasn't too much swing either. But we have seen it take spin, and there are two leg spinners in the
And they did miss virtually half a day yesterday, didn't they? They missed what? They lost close on 36 overs, 35 overs. So, it still should be pretty good to bat on. It was breaking up.
Well, the players are out. We're going to jingle up the Pakistan opening bowler, who's going to be Shaheen Shah Afridi.
We will indeed. I'm going to go.
I'm not sure they're out, actually. The batsmen aren't out. The bowlers are just having an outdoor net.
I'm just going to run and get a beer from the fridge.
I don't. Okay. I don't think the new ball will do as much this afternoon with the pitch having flattened out a touch. Not quite as maybe slightly damp yesterday morning when England started the Test match with ball in hand. I think we've almost got the perfect pair to the job required tonight in Burns and Sibley, providing that they can almost just blunt this Pakistan attack to get some of the shine off that new ball. I mean, there is a very talented Pakistani fast bowling attack. Be interesting to see how quickly a spinner comes into the attack. I think Yasir Shah bowling at quite a quick pace on an Old Trafford wicket that will bounce, and we've already seen will turn as it's starting to go through the top. But I think if Burns and Sibley can kind of blunt the attack for 20-25 overs, then it gives England a real chance of posting a reasonable total.
Absolutely, no.
It does,
and that's what the opens. Modus operandi has been since what's his name has taken over, Silver Thingy. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, remembering that England are playing one batsman less than they generally like to because of Ben Stokes not being able to bowl. Had he been fit to bowl, Zach Crawley would have been the extra batsman batting at 3. So it's a little bit, the England batting lineup has been brittle. It can be good. It can also collapse in a heap. So this is going to be an interesting last session.
Well, that's
a
true.
long last session. Another two.
there's definitely been a change of attitude, hasn't there, since change of management. You know, since Bayliss went, there's been a definite idea that it's actually about batting long and batting once. You know, if you can. Obviously, you can't do it every time. You get good balls and better bowlers, but certainly, I mean, we had a shocker against the West Indies in the first test. But then we lost the wickets late as well, didn't we? We got to we were about 130 for 2 or 3, and then we were 200 all out. So it's not necessarily the top order. You know, they can't have done their job.
Yeah, left armour brings different problems as well. Obviously, you know, the West Indies all right arm attack, so Afridi will bring challenges of his own. You think Burns will probably be able to line him up a little bit more easily than Sibley might as a right-hander. Certainly if it's going to swing back into the right-handed Sibley, and then there's obviously challenging the outside edge, pushing it across him. But I think if you wanted two openers to try and blunt an attack in the initial stages, then these two would probably be quite high up on your list of those to do it.
Well, yeah.
You're building them up, Jono. Let's see if they can repay your trust.
Let's have a plethora of jingles. This man's going to face first ball.
He's got the drive of a champion from Surrey. His mustache is ugly, got a shot finally, and his name is Rory.
Bowling is this man.
It's always time for Shaheen Afridi. No, not that other guy, that Shaheen. It's always time for Shaheen Afridi. No, not that other guy, he used to find the ball. Shaheen Afridi, Shaheen Afridi.
Yeah. It's going to be bowling left arm over the wicket to the left-handed batsman. He's got 3 slips, a gully, a point, a mid-on, a mid-off, a long leg, and a third man? I can't see. 326 Pakistan made. And Burns will be facing the first ball. Shaheen Shah Afridi only in his 9th test match at a very young stage of his career. Let's see what he can produce. He's up to the wicket. He bowls well down the leg side. And Rizwan takes. Let's see what the speed gun says on that.
No, I won't worry about it until he gets into his second over. The other interesting thing, of course, here is Dom Sibley's a cussed motherfucker, but how is he going to deal with? He doesn't look to score really much against the spin, and he's quite solid, but doesn't seem to take the chances there. How's he going to play? He's got two leggies to play against. It's going to be quite interesting if he's still there when that happens.
Let's get to the spinners first. You know, he'll be thinking as Shaheen bowls a good ball outside the off stump, just shaped away slightly. That was 85 miles an hour. Started a little bit wide. Burns could leave it comfortably, or how comfortably did he leave it? Well, no, he was sort of half beaten and half withdrawing the bat.
Was even Mohammed Abbas at the other end, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a spectacular record the last couple of years, Abbas, in a number of different conditions. In fact, these conditions suited pretty well, actually. He also took bags of wickets in England for Leicestershire, which is not a sentence you hear very often. As Shaheen is in again and bowls a straight ball on leg stump, and it's turned very nicely by Burns with the wide open spaces at mid wicket and down to the boundary for 4 runs.
I mean, you've got to think England have got to feel confident, haven't they? They come off 2 big wins against the West Indies. They've batted well here. They're playing on the same square they've played the last 2 tests in, and even though they're 300 runs behind, they'll think it could have been 400. And they got themselves out of a little hole, and they've got to back themselves to get at least 320 and bigger equal, and they'll think, well, in the last couple of innings we've got over that, so why can't we have an innings lead at the beginning?
As Afridi is up to the wicket, bowls straight ball going up for LBW, and umpire Kettleborough is not convinced. Are they going to review this? It was a full ball. He looked to turn it into the leg side. They have 10 seconds left on the timer, and they are going to go for a review. So in the first over, the third ball of the first over, England are 4 for no wicket or 4 for 1. Let's have a look.
I thought that hit him a little bit high. I think it wasn't that low. I think it hit him above the pad, hasn't it? It's one of these. That was out. That was out. That was definitely out.
Was that definitely out?
No.
Ooh.
He's dead.
It was
Oh, it's front pad.
It's front pad, and it's hit him on the knee roll, and it swung back into him. It looks pretty straight. The question is height.
Or inside edge. I don't think there's an inside edge. It might have been a shade, but it's going to be close. I'll give it that.
No mark on... Was there no mark on ultra? I don't think there was a mark when it went past the bat on ultra edge. It has to be hitting... most of the ball has to be hitting the stumps for it to be overturned. They're looking at this ultra edge, but there are a couple of marks, but nowhere near it when the ball's gone past the bat. No, we're looking at Hawkeye. The impact is in line. Look, it's hitting the top of middle stump, and the first wicket has fallen.
Oh, fuckity fuck.
Well, Burns was looking to turn a ball which swung back into him, into the leg side. He got squared up, and that's a pretty good piece of bowling, you have to say.
So much for blunting the attack.
Huh?
But so much for blunting the attack, which I was asking.
Well, he blunted it for 2 balls.
He blunted it for 2 balls.
For 3 balls, he's out to the 4th, yeah. So Burns trudges off, and Joe Root is going to be coming in at a critical juncture for his team.
Yeah, well, it's this man.
His voice is high pitched and ginger hair like a pick, but massive runs he has hit. So there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
It is Joe Root, actually. He doesn't like batting at number 3, but he has to with this England setup. And he comes in with England having lost a wicket in the first over. Rory Burns, LBW to Shaheen Shah, Afridi for 4. Right-hander, of course, Root. So he'll be, presumably, the bowler will be looking to push the ball across him and to try and swing it back in, as he did there to the left-handed Burns. So let's see.
Conor McNally's been on, says, I think Yasir opened the bowling in an innings on the last tour. Both he and Shadab are very good against lefties, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come on early.
Well, they've only got...
lefty. One lefty's gone.
Yeah.
No, they got Stokes as well.
Yes, they
test
do.
Him out. That'd be interesting.
Well, Root faces up to Shaheen. Bowls outside the off stump. It does shake back towards the off stump. Root leaves. It started a little bit too wide. If that was a ball on off stump, that would be a tricky one to play, because it's being pushed across him by the left hander. And of course, if it doesn't swing back in, you're in danger of nicking it to the keeper or slips. Yeah, Burns tried to play round his front pad. He got in a bit of a tangle and was caught back
or across there,
on the edge of his crease.
Yeah.
Josie Oak says, we'll limp to 200 and lose. We're doomed.
Well, you never know.
Shaheen bowls again. Again wide of the off stump. Again left by Root. A successful first over for him and for Pakistan after 1 over. England are 4 for 1. What do the tweeters have to say?
Only a couple more after that. Abhishek Chopra asks, is someone going to do the doomed tweet, which I've just read out from Josie Oak. And Messages says, things you expect to hear on Guerrilla Cricket number 237. Oh, fuckety fuck fuck.
Yeah,
you should... well, guess who that... If he tweeted that out and said, guess who said that? It would only be one person. It would only be one person who hasn't gone short on the fall of the next wicket. Anyway, Sibley's going to face his first ball.
We'll give him a jingle.
Let's jingle him up and the bowler.
Efficient batting. He made huge runs to rumours spread by word of mouth. This guy's really talented. Dominic Sibley.
And the bowler.
I don't want to be crass, but it's time for Mohammed Abbas.
Abbas bowls outside the off stump and Sibley leaves. Sibley, in his 10th test match, he's had a reasonably successful start. He's averaging over 40 with a couple of hundreds in that time. Scored 100 in Cape Town. I think Jono and I both saw that live, did we not?
We did. What a wonderful time to be alive that was.
It seems like about 5 years ago, but it was in January, only about 7 months.
Yeah.
A lot has happened since then in the world.
An awful lot has happened, eh?
as Abbas. It's up to the wicket now and bowls, and it's just guided down towards point by Sibley. I think he's a fairly phlegmatic character, as we saw in the West Indies Test matches. I don't know whether he's going to be overly concerned by the situation. That did shape away a little bit. It was not an outside edge. He got most of the bat on it, but it was the outside half of the bat. So
I think Abbas
Sibley needs to watch.
I really think he's going to cause problems. He just bowls really good lines. It's really good length. Mr. Consistent.
He's up to the wicket now and outside the off stump. And it dies on its way through to Rizwan. He takes it on the second bounce.
There's not been a lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot of movement in the air for the English guys, which is strange because there has been at Old Trafford for the previous 2 tests, and it just seems we're like, except Shaheen Afidi was getting nice shape with his left arm over, getting it to come back in.
A lot of it depends on the ball you get as well.
Yeah.
Some balls, some don't. The same in league cricket. It's just because they're handmade, they're all different.
Yeah.
Abbas bowls a straighter ball, turned behind square on the leg side by Sibley. He's taken 1. They're going to come back for 2. He's off the mark. 6 for 1. England. Some balls swing, some balls don't. I think that was a hit by Racy in about 1978, or something along those lines. Grubby would remember, but he's not on until the next stint.
Well, he's on at the end of this over, in fact, Fred.
Is he?
With Hendo.
We're having a turnover.
Yeah.
Who's coming back? Hendo.
Hendo and Grubby. And I'm doing
Hendo and Grubby.
I'm doing ball by ball.
Excellent, you lucky people. That is the absolute top quality grouping there. That's 3/4 of the Grumpy Gorilla podcast. There's Mohammed Abbas bowls, and I think Sibley tried to leave or tried to block it down into the ground. Either way, it's gone on the ground to 4th slip. 1 ball left of this over. 6 for 1 England, trailing by 320. If you missed what happened earlier today, I don't know why, because it's been very interesting. You should have been here to listen to us. I'm not going to tell you what happened.
Well, I'm not in tomorrow, and I'm hoping tomorrow's going to be a really dull day, and England is just going to slowly pile on runs.
You want it to rain all day tomorrow?
No, I don't want it to rain.
A short leg has gone in for Abbas to Sibley. It's on his... he's turned round. He gets a leading edge. Tried to play it to square leg, and it's gone down to 3rd man, and it's gone for 4.
There were 3 men
an
chasing
involuntary boundary for Dominic Sibley.
There was 3 of them
So
chasing.
that's the end of my stint. Bear, you take over, and
thank you.
welcome Hendo and Grubby to the room.
What I will do, they're going to appear. There's Hendo. There's Grubby. Hello, Grubby.
All right, everyone.
You finished work for the day, or having a sojourn from it?
I can do more than one thing at once. Bear.
Excellent.
Multi-tentacled.
Yeah, but Grubby, you do have several trillion numbers of dollars in your care at the moment, presumably.
That's right, in my care and my care alone, and that's very much where they're going to stay.
What? I didn't know about this, Grubby. Surely a few million could just find their way to a tip on Hot Mike, surely. That's Shaheen over the wicket to Root, who just lets that go through. It's shaping back into it. It's short. He's seen it early enough, and it just goes through to Rizwan, and there ain't no run.
By the way, that song that Fred was referring to, Some Girls by Racy. Some girls will, some girls won't. Some girls need a lot of loving, and some girls don't. The 70s.
Oh, yeah.
I've got another 70s song reference for you in a moment.
Did that shape your worldview, though, Grubby?
Not really.
No.
I was only little.
Yeah,
good to know.
70s is a little bit, I was born then, it's not really my time. 10 for 1, Shaheen in. Ooh, that's come back. There's another appeal. I think that. Oh, he's given that. I think that's too high. Yeah, Roots reviewed it. He was stuck on a crease again, but I thought that was too high, unlike the last one, although it probably will be umpire's call would be
I think that could be clipping. I think it was an absolutely tremendous ball. It came in really late.
It was indeed. We'll give it the jingle. Unless you got an inside edge.
I was definitely in. Were you definitely in? I don't know.
Well, he hasn't ended up playing a shot at that, has he?
No.
He's not really playing a shot.
It's hit right at the top of the pads, and he's up on his toes. Oh, that's
got to be high, hasn't it? I mean, it's a really good ball.
It is a really good ball.
You're going to be unlucky if
it's still going up. He's left it, and it is missing. Yes.
Wow, by 3 inches in the end.
Yeah, it's quite a way over the top of the stumps. It's
he's done by the swing and speed of that completely, though. He didn't have time to get his bat down. It wasn't a sort of deliberate leave. He just didn't have time to get his bat down. Extraordinary. But certainly a warning for Joe Root about the skill level of Shaheen Afridi anyway.
When he's got half pace further outside his crease, maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, England struggled to swing the ball. Mohamed Abbas didn't swing it much in his first over, but Shaheen Afridi's going to go a long way.
Mohamed Abbas is more of a nibbler, isn't he? He's more of a nibbler and a wobbler.
Yeah. Oh,
that's close.
That's got to be out this time, surely. No, he hasn't given that. That's got to be in line, hasn't it?
Might be another
there's
review.
an edge. There's an edge.
They're not reviewing it. They're not
edge.
reviewing it, so there must be an edge. I mean, that was right up in there. He's trying to clip it to the leg side route. Maybe he must have got an edge. This is torrid stuff from Shaheen Afridi. He's got 1 for 4. He's only bowled 8 balls. England are 10 for 1. Root's yet to get off the mark. Probably didn't expect to come in the was it first over he came in? Second,
yeah,
first, yeah,
big
big
inside edge.
Big inside edge. Which is why it looked like it hit him plumb in front of sort of leg stump, having pitched in line. Shaheen Afridi in, 4th ball of the over. This time it's driven quite pleasantly. It's a bit too wide of the off stump. It's very full again. Trying to get that ball to swing. Driven to cover by Root, and there's no run.
I just wanted to say about that delivery, that the first LBW appeal, that it was in a way reminiscent of Wasim Akram, because he's got that really late in-swing and violent in-swing that Wasim Akram used to have. Certainly, I'm not sure that's going to last. Depends on the ball, perhaps a little bit. But certainly in these first couple of overs, he's making it talk.
Yeah, Wise could swing an orange, couldn't he?
Well, he could. I saw some of his clips this morning on Sky, and you forget just how great he was.
Yeah, him and Wakar were phenomenal when the ball was swinging. That's defended out to cover, and there's no run. That series is in 92?
92, yeah, that's right.
Or was that the same year? I mean, those two destroyed us. Toe-crushing in, swinging Yorkers and Wakar. 6 wickets in innings, I seem to remember. Just totally taking apart the middle and lower order.
Well, when I saw Waka Yunus this morning toe-crushing 1 or 2 batsmen, I was hoping that one of them was going to be Graham Hick, since that he did tell us that was the man that he liked toe-crush most of all. But I think I saw him saw Pringle getting toe-crushed and 1 or 2 others. Anyway.
Last ball of the over. It's a little bit shorter this time, and Root can get right behind it. Defends it out into the offside, and there's no run. England's just got to basically see off the new ball here, haven't they?
Big toes.
Take the bad balls, but other than that, just make sure you don't get out.
Yeah, it's often difficult opening the batting, and particularly when there's a score on the board, and you expect these torrid times. But yeah, you just got to weather through it. And I know you guys have been speaking a lot about Shan Masood, but I'd just like to add my own 2 penneth, if I may. Isn't it marvellous when you see in the game of cricket someone struggle quite badly, as he did in the previous tour over here, and then or a couple of tours ago, and then come back with such he's obviously put in huge amounts of work, made those changes to his technique, and he's reaped the rewards, and I'm very pleased for him.
Mohamed Abbas is in. The pace is a lot easier with Mohamed Abbas. He's certainly a wily operator, but it's sort of 77 to 80 Ks. They don't have to worry about that, and Dom Sibley comfortably clips that down to long leg, gets back for 2. He's on 8 of 7, positively streaking along for Dom Sibley.
Yeah, it is absolutely a runner ball. Abhishek says to us, if you stare at Abbas long enough, he will take a 5-fer. I think you're absolutely right. That describes him very well, doesn't it? I think. He also comes back a few minutes ago and says, Grubster and Hendo, good evening from Bombay, gentlemen. Well, it's great to hear from you, Abhishek.
Abbas in again. Oh, that's got to be close. That's got to be close. In fact, it looked like Sibley was walking off. He knew he'd been done there. It's nipped back in, exactly as Hendo said. It's a little nibble. He nibbled quite a lot, but I still think it was out. I mean, the umpire was saying, yeah. I think Rooty's going to say, sod off, mate. That's hitting the stumps. Best you're going to get. 2 seconds. No, they've reviewed it right at the last minute. Well, okay, maybe. I mean, it did seem to go quite a long way, but he was stuck on a crease. It probably started on about middle, just outside middle and off, and then jagged back into his pads. But I think he was stuck on a crease. I certainly would have appealed if I was the bowler, and I think the worst it can be is. No, actually, it's done quite a lot. It's done a lot, hasn't it? And it's going.
Yeah, but he is trapped on the crease. He's hardly got forward. It's hit him on the knee roll. It's certainly not going to go over. I think that's dead.
Yeah,
I think that's
dead.
They know in their heart of hearts they must know that's a poor review. They've got to get better.
Well, he
not
looked
just
like
England, but most teams have to get better at these reviews.
Well, exactly. I think they think they've got an extra one. Well, I mean, that was he did look like he was walking off, and then he thought about reviewing it. Somehow he got round to reviewing it. But we have to say this.
I won't look back, 'cause by the time that I do, you'll be gone.
Well, England's first test woes continue.
He is one of the leading bowlers in the world, though.
Yeah.
He's not
doubt
what you
about
call a spectacular. He's not, bouncing opening batsmen out or crashing their stumps. Usually, it's just in and around, wobble, nibble, as you say, Hendo. But he's averaging under 21.
I know.
Yeah, his first few years in Test cricket. He's just relentless. He's like a Ryan Harris type bowler, isn't he? Or
Ryan Harris. I think of a Vernon Philander as well. Mohammed Asif going back a few years.
Well, exactly.
Mohammed Asif.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, Nackleton agrees with a bat on 2018 tour, 10 wickets and 2 tests at 14.2.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Wiggy says, lead sheep Wiggy says, left arm Pakistan quick at Old Trafford, taking an early wicket. Deja vu. Absolutely.
Totally.
Dave Wood says, well, this is going as expected. He hashtags that. Bizarre says Messi Jez that the introduction of extra reviews has coincided with a much higher ratio of poor umpiring decisions. I don't think they are related, though.
Well, this isn't what England wanted, but it is the two men who you'd probably want in a crisis out there right now. And the other one, of course, is this man.
Ben?
Ben Stokes.
Well, I mean, you look at that ball. How much did that jag? I mean, he missed it by miles in the end because it moved that much. It was a tremendous delivery from Mohammed Abbas.
It was
Fantastic
indeed.
delivery.
It was a fantastic delivery. It was a little bit of wobble seam as well, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's obviously landed on the seam, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jagged back, it really has. And that's, it's not like he's missed it by, a couple of inches. He's missed it by, almost a foot, I would say.
And he wasn't playing around his pad either. I mean, that's genuinely good bowling,
Yeah.
Well, look at how far Stokes is batting outside his crease.
Stokes is about 2 feet outside his crease. Abbas is around the wicket, and Stokes is a man you believe will not give his wicket away, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't want to worry you guys.
Right
We've still got the 17-year-old Tyro to come, haven't we?
Well, I want to see. He's the one I want to see. I was hoping
well,
he'd
of course,
because I wanted to
absolutely.
see him earlier, but obviously Mohammed Abbas is going to open. England are 12 for 2. Yeah, you heard that right. We're 12 for 2. We're deep in shit.
Well, this is where England's selection policy might just come and bite them on the arse, because having decided to go with all of the bowlers rather than retain Zach Crawley, this is trouble now.
Well, indeed. Defended out to cover, and there's no run. Yeah, well, it's a long way to go, boys. I'm an optimist. There were 3 scores in the Pakistan innings: 150, 69 and 50. That's 250 of their 320 runs.
Yeah.
It does only take 2 or 3 people to get you to a relatively okay score, 4 to get you to a decent score. And it's a team game, isn't it? People do fail and other people get shitloads of runs. You obviously don't want your 2 openers out in 4 overs, but that's defended out to the offside and there's no run. It's happened plenty of times in history and teams have still scored big. So
yeah, and Joe Root will have good memories of batting at number 3 at Old Trafford against Pakistan.
254.
Back to 2016.
Was it 254?
I was there, saw most of it.
Oh, we watched all of that. I think I was commentating on it. Yeah. Well, probably. In fact, almost definitely.
And do you know who batted 6 for England in that innings? Tell you, Chris Stokes.
Really?
Well, there you go. Yeah.
Got a 50.
Excellent.
And he's had a poor couple of innings against the West Indies, hasn't he? He hasn't scored a run yet, but he's a decent bat as well. Defended out to mid-on by Stokes, and there is no run.
Let's have some tweet. Neymar Butland says, I'm having some issues with syncing up hot mic. It might be my Wi-Fi. Right now it is less hot mic and more tepid Michelle. I'm still a fan of it though, and you should be a fan of it. Go along to hot mic if you haven't done that. Sync up with the TV, our commentary with your TV, and if you do it by using the code GC Radio, we get $1, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Why wouldn't you do that for us? It's only such a small thing to ask of the 13 or 14,000 Twitter followers out there. If people out there can just suggest to all our Twitter followers, to do that, then we might be able to get some really good guests in. Not that we haven't had good guests.
And we're good enough already. Hey. It's floated up outside the offside this time by Shaheen Afridi, and Reek just lets it through the keeper and there's no run.
This is what can happen as well, where there is that lavish late swing that bowlers go looking for it a little bit, and on that occasion far too wide across him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then you get the long half volley outside off stumps, you crash hopefully to the Cubs boundary, or you miss
nick off to
second slip. Yeah, depends on the day really. Root still to get off the mark, 9 balls faced. Shaheen Afridi is over the wicket, and again it's pushed across Root. He just watches it through to Rizwan behind the stumps, and there ain't no one.
Well, go on, Hendo, sorry.
I was going to say, well, nothing important really, but message says, I'm sure England made a mistake picking Jack Whitehall as an opener. Are you suggesting that Dominic Sibley is a bit of a dead ringer for a rather, I don't know, uninspiring comedian? Or he's just a comedian getting out in that manner? Maybe that's what you mean.
I can sort of see that.
I think both wickets are pretty good bowling, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
It's never easy you're facing your first few balls. Shaheen in bowls, and Root gets up on his toes, just plays that square on the offside, and there's no run.
As you know, chaps, I bring a swathe of listeners wherever I turn up on Gorilla, and I've brought you precisely 2 in recent times, as my mum and dad have joined us, Pete and Barbara. And it's Barbara's 70th birthday next week. She'll hate me for saying that, but we're going to have a big celebration at the weekend. So if you wouldn't mind, a big happy birthday to Barbara.
Happy birthday, Barbara! And as I keep saying,
Barbara, and that's why you can't commentate on Saturday.
It is, but don't make her feel guilty. That's the last thing I want.
Barbara, do you want to deny us of Grubby's fine dulcet tones just because it's your 70th birthday? I think that's a yes.
She has no choice.
Short, and Root just sways back and lets it over his back through to the keeper. Ain't no run.
Leah, Wicked Witch, says, I love Shaheen, but don't get me wrong, but the poor lad suffers from resting creep face. I'm not sure what resting creep face is.
Like when your face is in repose, you look like a creep. It's the same as resting bitch face.
Right, okay, I didn't know. Obviously, you need to be younger than me to understand that sort of thing. Anna Forsyth is our favourite lip reader, and she says Sibley literally asked Plum ? To Root as soon as that happened. How did they get to reviewing that? Which is a very good point.
It's utterly nonsense. We see it far too often.
Alistair Burrell also says awful review.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is it. I thought he was walking off. I should say that live, and then he decides to review it. If you think you're walking off, then you think, shit, I'm out. Around the wickets and angling in, Shaheen seems to come in with his arm. But Root just defended out on the offside. There's no run. 1 ball left in the over.
I do remember Shaheen Afridi had a pretty good World Cup, didn't he, last year for Pakistan? I think he was averaging about 16, something like that, which is
he's turned into a good bowler. He's got a very boofy haircut.
Yeah, it's very bouffant, isn't it? Yes, it's one of our favourite. I mean, he should be in a sort of silk jacket with a cigar, and possibly
green chiffon jacket
down your local Granada.
The 13th Earl of Wimbo.
Yeah, with a fat cigar coming out of his mouth. That's defended. Seems that Root made as if it jumped off the wicket and took his bottom hand off the bat, just dropped it dead in front of him on the left side, and there's no run.
I think more of a cigarillo holder.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Do you know, my dad used to smoke with a cigarillo, with a holder, but he only smoked at Christmas and Easter. But I didn't never get the jacket out, didn't get the smoking jacket, but we got the effect of it anyway. I think it was pretty
smoking jacket and cravat.
No, there was no cravat, but perhaps there ought to have been. Messenger says Ravi is an optimist, and he's referring to Ravi the heavy roller Reddy, who says, I reckon England will be 3 wickets down by close of play. Remember, Jos Buttler is coming in 2 more wickets time.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Abbas around the wicket to Stokesy, who leaves that through to the keeper, and there's no run.
Abhishek says peak Bearster optimism there, and also who needs a TV when these gentlemen describe the visuals so beautifully. Thank you, Abhishek. Now Dave Wood says come on guys, I signed up for Hot Mic and I don't even own a TV, so everyone else should do.
There you go.
Let's go beyond the pause. Brilliant stuff.
But it's quicker than anything else as well. It's quicker than tuning. It's quicker than radio feed. Stokes defends a little bit away from his body, but holds the shape of his body as he defends it, and it goes up to mid-off, no run.
Suggestion from the green room, is that Knackle, I presume, saying should Rizwan come up to the stumps with the Bass bowling? I mean, that would be a bold move, and with Stokes batting so far out of his crease, that would be good to watch, I think, but possibly a bit.
Well, I guess I said we had this discussion when was it Dowrich standing up? Was it Josh standing up? No,
Josh came up, didn't he?
Yeah, Josh came up to. Oh my word, he's bowled him, clean bowled him through the fucking gate. England are in absolute dis-a-fucking-rate. 12 for 3.
Well, up to the optimism bit.
Well, it's gone.
Yeah, I don't think that was through the gate. I think that beat him on the outside edge and bowled him. I think that's a cracking ball.
I thought it was a cracking ball.
Let's have another look at it.
There we go. There's another wobble scene there. Beat on the outside edge. Shit, it beat the outside edge and it's clipped the off stump. Splayed the bails. It hasn't really disturbed the stumps, but that's exactly what you want. If your ideal ball is hitting the top of off stump, that is it. And it's not. I mean, again, you've got to hand that to the bowler, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
no shame.
Stokes played the line, and the ball was just too good, and we're in trouble.
We certainly are. Well, it's all happening on the Twitter sphere as well. Abhishek says, I'm jumping a gazillion guns here, but choosing a combined bowling attack at the end of this series should be a delicious exercise. Jay Grover says, happy birthday, Barbara. Diane Patterson, Mrs. Shandy says, happy birthday to the young Barbara from someone older and still happy. Messi Jez, as a 69-year-old, I confirm that Grubby 78's mum is approaching the best years of her life. Happy birthday, Grubby's mum. Leah Wicked Witch says, it's my brother's birthday today. How would you wish Lucas a happy little boy day?
Happy little boy day.
I don't want to say what that joke is referring to, really. Abhishek comes back and says, yeah, Bear, be optimistic. Nah.
I'm still an optimist. Oh, look, it's Ollie Pope. I like Ollie Pope. He's good.
Oh, next man in is Josh Butler, and he's having such a great day.
And it's going to be over by tomorrow night, boys.
What's the follow-on? What's the follow-on total?
The follow-on is
115.
No, it'd be 125, isn't it? We trail by 314. So
115.
115, yeah.
Oh, trail by. Sorry. Beg your pardon.
Abbas in bowls and Pope. Well, he's a busy batsman. I'm sure he didn't want to be in the sixth over though. That's defended out to point and there's no run.
Yeah, this has been a great start. I mean, Mohammed Abbas. I mean, we said at the beginning of that Ireland tour, we just looked at his figures in first-class cricket before he'd even played over here and thought he looked something special. We spoke to Stephen Crook, didn't we, who'd played against him for Northamptonshire, and he said, well, he just has that change of pace as well that suddenly you just don't expect. He's not quick, but he does move it.
Oh wow, and he's moved that again, and Stokes Pope, if he'd have missed that, he'd have been LBW. He managed to get an outside edge on it as it jagged away from him, and it's raced down to the third man boundary, and England will be thankful I say, for one of these.
It's Nissan She.
Oh yeah, but guys, this is thoroughly entertaining, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
England struggling, it's just great to watch, because if England do come through this and or a couple of them can come through this, it makes their achievement even greater.
It does indeed.
Absolutely. You got to, as we said, you've got to hand it to these opening bowlers. Pakistan, they bowled absolutely on the money by and large and deserve their wickets. I don't think any of the wickets you can really blame the batsmen, and it's terrific stuff to watch.
And you have to after this, Abbas in bowls, Pope clips that up to mid-on, and there's no run. And hopefully, if something happens, I'm not going to attempt it. But you've got to say, Pakistan won a toss. They decided to bat, which is the right thing to do. West Indies probably should have done it. One of those two tests, they won the bat. And what it does do, even with a score of 325, which isn't massive, and they would hope for more, but they got themselves into the position by winning the toss and by batting to be able to put pressure on England, which is what the West Indies never managed to do by not fucking inserting us.
Yeah, West Indies were scared is the wrong word, but they were nervous about their batting lineup, should we say? And that, I think that.
Well, yes, but I mean, if you.
In this instance, Bear, where you win the toss, you got 2 leg spinners in your side. You're playing at Old Trafford. That's going to dry out across the game. You're going to bat first, aren't
you? West Indies last test had 2 spinners in the side, decided to fucking bowl.
Yeah, that was
which was crazy.
Scrambled thinking.
That was
it was
really
poor, but I think I don't agree with those who said that they should have bowled in the second. Shouldn't have bowled in the second test.
No, I don't agree with that. But the third test
made the right decision on that day.
No,
but to group Jason Holder in by saying he made a mistake in both those tests is inaccurate, and I've seen it several times from several journalists.
Wow,
it's nonsense.
I mean,
I've heard it from Shane Warne of all people as well.
Well, yeah.
Well, even a stopped clock is right twice a day.
Well, Shaheen's going to continue. He's got 1 for 4. He's 3 overs. He's bowling to Root, who plays that right under his eyes, square out the offside, and there's no run.
Do you think that Ben Stokes might have used up all his ability for this season in those first 2 tests?
No.
I mean, you only have a certain amount of ability, say, given to you every year by the cricket gods, and I think maybe he used so much in those first 2 games that
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, even the best player, it's the modal score is below 10. That whole fucking shtick about cricketers. You get out early a lot. And you've got to cash in when you get a chance. Root doesn't quite get across, plays that quite timidly, really. I think if he was in and England had runs on the board, I'm sure that would have been driven swiftly through the covers for 4, but as it was, it's just played up to mid-off for no run.
Dave Wood says, I've just recalled who England's batting coach is for this test. Time for an old hashtag to make a comeback. That's a reference, of course, to Jonathan Trott and Trott's fault from all those years ago. Messi Jez says, the moment the Bear said, I like Ollie Pope, he's good, we all knew things could only get worse for England.
I was going to say, if he gets really high, if he gets into the 90s and they fucking interview him again tonight, I'll be really angry, but I don't think there's enough time for him to get there, so it won't happen. That's left alone outside the off stump by Reedy, through to the keeper and then a run.
Strange Carrots Com says, so if 111 is known as Nelson, is England at 30 for 3 called a Tom Jones? Because it's not unusual.
Yeah, very good.
Pirate Badshar adrift. Adrift where? Adrift in a particular ocean says, do you hear about the cricketer who fell into a barrel of Brent crude? Oily Pope. Good night.
Oh, yeah. I can appreciate that.
Who was that?
That was Pirate Badshar.
Oh, please. Pirate.
Lock him.
Yeah. That's dreadful. We need that
I think we might have to take your tweeting. I'll come back to that.
Shaheen in again, and once again, Root leaves it through to Rizwan. No run.
Yeah, I think you should have your tweet options removed when you make a joke like that for at least half an hour. In fact, I think actually we should start fining tweeters for bad jokes, and then it can go into our jar of for extracurricular activities.
True. We should find every bad joke. We'll find you have to pay us I don't know what,
tenner.
Tenner. You like fucking trying to overcharge people, don't you, Hendo?
I do, absolutely. It's the only way.
A pound a bad joke, and you have to donate it via PayPal.
Bad joke. Yeah, absolutely. I think we've done this before.
Why aren't we millionaires then?
Shaheen is around the wicket to Root, who nearly overbalances and trying to clip it into the leg side, but just about keeps his shape. Plays it on the ground, square leg, no run.
You talking about me trying to overcharge, Bear, but you are a man who consistently refuses to reduce the cost of our T-shirts, which don't sell very well. And I know why, but...
Well, exactly. There's a reason why.
Well, there is a reason why.
This is why we're giving This is why we're giving T-shirts away for Patreon, Hendo. And
save it for the board meeting, lads.
Absolutely. We're having a live board meeting during broadcast.
The AGM's coming up.
That's played nicely by Root, square on the offside. Just puts bat on ball rather than trying to hit it. Good timing, but straight to point, and there's no run. And now Ebony's going to tell us something. Well, we're not.
Well, she's not. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm much better looking. Anyway, what I'm going to tell you is that it was interesting to note there that when Root thought for a moment he might get his first run as he played that square on the offside, he's now faced 20 balls without getting off the mark. And it made me think back to this morning, Shan Masood, and when wickets were falling early on, and how well he batted. He was the score for Pakistan was on 150 for something like 17 balls. And there was one scoring shot from him, I think, in 34 balls. So it shows that despite that, he can still come through it and still profit at the end of an innings. This is why sensible batting is sometimes the way to go, rather than the flashy approach that we get perhaps too often these days.
And you also have to say that, to be fair, Pakistan could have been in a very similar situation. Abbas bowls, and Ollie Pope just plays that up to mid-on. There's no run. I think when England opened up with Broad and Anderson, I think they beat the bat countless times, and just by slivers as well. Different day, bit of luck, you get those, and they haven't. And no, I'm not saying it in a bad way. And
no, that's just life. That's cricket.
Exactly, it is cricket, and it's come off for Pakistan, and they've got those wickets, and they've got the runs on the board, so they're in the box seat. Mohammad Abbas is going to come in, second ball of his fourth over. A bit of extra pace on that, it seemed, into the deck, but Pope was equal to it, guided it out on the floor, past Gully, out towards third man, and Shah Masood chased it down, feeling very happy with his 150. Throws it back in, and Pope moves on to 6 off 5. He's having another one-day innings, much like Sibley.
You are right there that Babar Azam, who played so beautifully yesterday, could have been out of his first delivery.
Yeah,
his first ball he received. Whistle past the outside edge. And a boarding house scrape of butter away from the off stump and the edge.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
that's
that's
a bit
an
of luck you
absolute
need.
peach of a delivery, wasn't it? I mean, Abbas is in bowls, and Pope again plays that on the offside, and England taking a book out of a page out of Pakistan's book straight after lunch, and just knocking it into the offside for a single.
He's so brilliant to watch, Ollie Pope, busy at the crease.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's
technique.
really busy. Yeah, and the other thing is, Fred said last night, and I mentioned this earlier when you two guys weren't on, and when they were arguing about the fact that Butler should be keeper and the fact that he owes England X amount of runs. Well, it turns out he owes us 107 runs because there were, it was a missed catch and stumping.
That's
when,
right.
Shah Masood was on 45, and he ended up getting 152. There's 107 runs that Joss owes us.
Yeah, well, that's minimum, isn't it? That's just starting.
Well, exactly. That's just to get a clean slate. Exactly.
Yes, exactly. And then he has
He's
to
on
go
minus 100. Wanders to the crease on minus 107.
Absolutely.
How depressing would that be?
Yeah. 19 for 3, and that one comes back in. There's no appeal this time. Does clatter into the thigh pad of Root, who's faced 21 balls and yet to get off the mark.
It's just such brilliant bowling, isn't it?
It is brilliant bowling, and if Root can get through
at the
this,
batsman and challenging, it's just fantastic stuff to watch.
Let me get some tweets in, guys. Here, Clark, who's our friend and statistician from Jamaica, who was involved with us during the coming on air during the West Indies series, as an interesting stat, which I'll bring you after this ball now.
Mayank's been in touch on Hot Mic, which I'm going to get to tell you in a second. Forward comes Root, and he gets himself off the mark. He just drops that into the covers. There's a man square, and there's a man an extra cover. Gets it between the two, gets himself a single, gets off the mark. Mayank says, "Morning, guys, from San Francisco. Heading off to Yosemite National Park in a bit. Luckily, these tests start at 3 a.m. here, so I don't have to worry about listening and trying to drive at the same time." But I presume you're going to drive now. I think he's in West Coast San Francisco, 10 hours behind, isn't it? So
something like that. Well, I was going to say about Zahir Clark, he says, since the 1st of January 2018, 25 bowlers have taken 50 or more wickets in Test cricket. Again, I'll come back to it after this ball at the end of the over.
Abbas in, last ball of the over. Ollie Pope cuts. Ooh, good fielding there in the gully region, fourth slip. He cut straight to him, and he attempts to throw it back at the stumps. Pope was on it and got his back down in time. No run, ends the over.
Yes, Mohammad Abbas, since the 1st of January 2018, he averages 19.88. It only actually makes him the third best in that period, because Jason Holder, with an average of 16.74, and Ishant Sharma, with an average of 19.14, have averaged better. So that shows you just how close to the best, or how up amongst the best Mohammad Abbas is at this moment. Now, hang on. What's this? Abhishek said 1 minute ago, Ben Stokes counter-attacking 63-run innings incoming. Not today, I'm afraid.
He's in and he's out. Shaheen is around a wicket. I'm not sure this is right from Shaheen, really. I'd have stayed over. He was getting a lot of success there. That's 84 miles an hour. Seemed to die a bit in the pitch, and Root didn't need to plough it, and there's no run. Wazum will be happy.
Conor McNally says, "Don't worry, lads. Get past these two, and you just have 2 leg spinners and a 17-year-old prodigy to face."
Yeah, I know. It's different gravy, isn't it, than the West Indies? Although Pakistan themselves will apparently feel, well, maybe this is just bloody English media, it has to be said, feel that the batting lineup's maybe a bit weak, but I don't see that in the Pakistan side. I see 2 pretty equal sides. Shaheen around a wicket and tries a full in-swinging Yorker to Root, but he's up to it and just jabs it out in the offside. There's no run.
I'd love to see that again. What did he do with his wrist there? It looked like something extra there. Extra wrist.
Late.
Yeah, I mean,
cocked it a bit, didn't he?
He cocked it. It's a no ball, actually.
Hey, it's a no ball. Free hit. I want a fucking free hit.
Oh, don't be ridiculous. Go back to your T10.
I'm sorry, Smokey. You were over the line. That's a foul.
I think we should have free hits.
No, it's nonsense. Free hits. Absolute nonsense. You get a run. You get an extra ball. What more can you want?
I want a free hit.
No.
Shaheen back over the wicket. Oh, and he tempts Root. He jabs his bat and realises he should be doing that. Pulls it back in. Fortunately, didn't get anything on it. And it goes through to Wizman, no run. And the light seems to be quite dull out there. Did we get the light today? I see.
A friend.
Go on, Hendo.
No, go on.
What I was going to say, Pakistan might not be that bothered if they have to go to 2 spinners compared to England.
Oh yeah, well yes.
If the lights come on and they say you can only bowl spin, they'll go, well, okay, Yassi, you come on one end, should have the other. Well, we fancy that. Certainly better spinning resources than England. That's full and in at the pads. I think this is a better line of attack for Shaheen. And Root just plays it up to mid-on, there's no run.
Yeah, the lights are on. I'm just getting worried about the light now. It's getting a bit dark. You got the impression that there was a bit of light shining off the batsman. And I wonder whether England might get offered that in the not-too-distant future. They'll probably readily accept it, won't they? There's a big sort of blackness over the ground at the moment. So I think we might do well to still be out there at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's not up to the players, is it? It's the umpires now.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The umpires may just say, let's go.
Well, they took that reading yesterday, didn't they? So.
They did. It's bright blue sky down here in Sydney. It's fucking hot. Shaheen around short, and Root plays inside that. Lets it go through the Wizman, and there's no run.
Gits and Grats is trying to get, he owes us £1 basically, because he says all the old-fashioned tobacconists around here were shut down ages ago. It's all charity shops instead. So clothes, but no cigars.
Yeah, that's £1.
Yeah, onto PayPal immediately. Gets
on knuckles sliding scale. That's more of a tenner than 2, I'd say.
Yes, indeed.
Well, we're seeing Nassim warming up. He looks very young, doesn't he? Shaheen, though, is he's only marginally older than him, let's be honest. Comes in and bowls across Root once again. That swing seems to have disappeared already in the 9th over. Other than that, he's bowling. Well, he is bowling a little bit shorter. He's not bowling the full length of Root that he was bowling to the openers. And there's no run. Yeah, Nassim Shah, 5 matches, 13 wickets, an average of 26.85. 5 wicket haul already. Got a hat trick. And he's, 17, supposedly?
Yes. Have we got a jingle? Well, obviously, you did play his jingle earlier, but I must admit I missed it. Let's hear it again.
I'm not sure if he's actually bowling now.
I thought he was about to bowl.
No, they're just showing his stats on the screen. Shaheen's got 1 ball left for a start. He's at the end of his 5th over, though. That's better. Oh, that's a decent ball, and there's arms in the air, and how that didn't catch bat. Well, sometimes you get lucky. Screen past Root's outside edge. He genuinely played at that. Was beaten. There's no run though. Didn't shake back. You see that it offered, didn't it? It offered, but it just didn't offer as much as it did in overs 1 and 2 that he bowled.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of those where he's played for a little bit more swing than there is actually there.
Yeah.
And England will be happy if they realise that the movement, the fierce movement at the ball is just easing a little bit. They need something like that to happen, don't they?
Yeah, they do. There's whack on Eunice, the man I missed an interview with.
Yeah.
I've not heard about that, Bear. Could you tell us?
Yeah.
No. Well, Mohammed Abbas is going to continue. I presume he can bowl long spells. Maybe 6, 7, maybe 8 overs. Possibly. Abbas is in bowls, and Oddie Pope defends that out to cover, and there's no run. England's just got to put their heads down and just think about bat.
See where. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where Pope is batting as well. regard to his crease. I know he's sort of busy and at the ball, which is great to see, but whether his starting position is anywhere near where Stokes was.
I don't think so. I think Stokes is not unique in that fact, but certainly more proactive in that action. Bass is at the end of his run. He's coming up to the crease now. Delivers to Ollie Pope, who sends his back foot out, his front foot forward, and drives, and it gets a thick inside half of the bat with a big gate, and goes up to mid-on, no run.
So I hear Clark says that dismissal of Ben Stokes by Mohamed Abbas mirrors the dismissal of Ben Stokes by Jason Holder in the previous series. Both bowlers around 80 miles an hour, both bowlers exceptional in getting swing and seam movement, both among the top 5 in averages since the 1st of January 2018. Why is that always seen as the marker point, the 1st of January 2018? We keep hearing
that's when
the 1st of the January 2018, Shan Masood started to bat like the batsman he always could be. But why the 1st of January 2018?
I don't know. Ooh, that's in at the pads of Pope, who clips that up to mid-on. There's no run. That's when they started getting good, so they're kind of dismissing the shit beforehand. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know if you've ever watched match racing sailing. It's the kind of thing where they're allowed. You have these races, you get a certain amount of points for your position, and basically you're able to drop your worst your worst race, which I always think is great. I mean, imagine if we could drop our worst innings in averages. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Maybe 1st of January 2018 is when records began.
Well, Pope's facing up. Abbas is in full, and he defends that back up towards mid-off. Cover comes across to cover it, and there ain't no run.
Peter Lloyd in Light Bystander says, Gorilla Cricket, you complain about journalists combining the 2 holder decisions, but this is about choosing to field first at Old Trafford. Gorilla Hendo, but then you immediately combine journalist and Shane Warne in the same sentence.
Well, indeed, it's one of these. It's 3 no balls already in this innings.
Well, it just shows they're striving, doesn't it? I think.
Yep. Want to get one off the no. Ooh, that's good and accurate in at the stumps, aimed at middle and off. Defended well in the end by Pope. Gets it on the ground to Gully, and there's no run. Bit of an outside edge, but covered it.
Yeah, thick outside edge, give them the benefit of the doubt. Leah says, finding listeners for bad jokes will have one of 2 outcomes. You will either be millionaires or you will be listener-less. I think one is more probable than the other. Yeah, but where are you going to go to
keep
tell
those jokes coming?
Yeah, I mean, where are you going to be? Who are you going to go to tell terrible jokes if you don't tell them to us? Farong says, nice to listen to real pace, and they still have 2 leggies as well. Nasty hour ahead for England. I like the idea. I like the idea of listening to real pace because it's better than facing it.
Yeah. Abbas wide of the crease, angling into the pads, nicely clipped by Ollie Pope. I think that was a bit telegraphed there by Abbas. He was expecting it and set himself up to clip it nicely. Didn't get it all though. It's gone out to deep cow. They'll come back for 3. Pope is into double figures, 10 or 13. Root has stuck on 1, and he's faced 20 odd balls. That's a lovely shot. Yeah, Pope.
Pope never hangs about, does he? I mean, he picks up runs. This is the thing about him, because it's all again about taking the initiative, and he's trying very hard to wrestle it away from Pakistan at the moment.
Oh, we're due a change at the end of this over.
We are indeed, absolutely.
I'm heading off. Hendo, you're staying on. Fred's coming in to join you with Knackle.
Absolutely. And Grubby will be back to do the overspill at 20 past 6, unless he gets bowled a googly by his missus.
Well, maybe. Abbas in bowls, and Root guides it on the ground. Can't beat 3rd slip. And there will be no run. He remains of 1 of 30 deliveries. It's very un-Root.
Blimey, that's incredible, isn't it? I mean, how often do we say, the thing about Root is, he's out there for half an hour, you're not really noticing, you haven't noticed he's picked up runs, and suddenly he's on 20 off 15 balls. Well, now he's off 1 off 30.
Pip's doing the Root job at the moment, isn't he? So he's probably thinking he doesn't need to.
Well, he doesn't need to, no. He's batting about a foot outside his crease.
He is.
And we said that in the World Cup final, and then he got out. Here's Abbas into Root again. He just plays it out to point. There's no run. End of my spell. Fred, I can see already there. Goodbye to Grubby, and Knacker will be over from me. And I'm not on again today. I'm not in tomorrow. I will see you on Saturday. Oh no, I am in tomorrow. I'm in tomorrow about 5:30 because Knacker's got to head off on a train. So I will see you late afternoon tomorrow. But until then, goodbye.
See you in a short while, everyone.
Yep.
Who's doing what?
I'm ball by balling, you're tweeting, and Knackle is summarising and jingling. Is that all right? I just told you what the last tweet was, or the next tweet that you need to do. So we're all up and running, aren't we? 26 for 3, England. 10 overs bowled. They trail by 300. Root has made just a single from 31 balls, and Pope is on 10 from 13. It's Pope facing as Shaheen Afridi bowls left arm over the wicket. Quick stuff. And he leaves this one outside the off stump. Goes through to Mohammed Rizwan, and there is no run. What's it been like not being on air and watching that? Has it been terrifying for you, Fred?
I haven't been watching, sorry.
Oh, really? What
I wasn't listening, but I wasn't actually watching the wickets fall.
It's been pretty magnificent from the green room, I can tell you that much.
It has been pretty magnificent, you have to say. Although Pope is doing his best to turn things around, and Shaheen Afridi has 1 for 5. He's into his 6th over, would you believe? He bowls to Pope, and Pope leaves that one as it rises. Not that far outside the off stump, but certainly it would have been bouncing over had it been straight. So no real danger for him there. Just a hint that perhaps that wicked in-swing that we saw so early on is just levelling out a little bit from Shaheen. As Pope goes down the wicket and has a little prod at the pitch, and then goes back to scratch out a new mark. There was an interesting tweet, I think you've said, a little message you sent through Knackle from the green room fairly recently about left arm seamers in tests and how England are doing against them. And it's not very good. He's now round the wicket to Pope, but bowls this one too wide, doesn't get the movement back that he's looking for, and Pope just allows that to.
I love what he does with his wrist position at release to try and bring the ball back into the right hander from over the wicket. It's just that little push with the wrist in towards the batter. Well,
I imagine he's got quite big and strong hands and wrists. That's my guess for a man who's 6'6". Doesn't always happen, but it may well do with him. And it was noticeable that in-swinging Yorker he bowled an over or two ago, really exaggerated movement of the wrist. Here he comes anyway into Pope once more round the wicket, and Pope aims to drive at this, drags it a little bit, closes the face, straight back to the bowler. There is no run. Any tweets, Fred?
Brian Barry says, what is it about people wanting to change red ball cricket? Someone on the chat during the Kent-Essex match was whining about there not being a super over should the match end in a tie.
Oh, God, I was actually thinking that the other night when the England-Ireland game was on, and it could have been a tie. And I thought, I don't want a super over after that. It's just been such a good game anyway. As it was, they won it with a ball to spare. But you don't have to have a super over. Obviously, if you're doing something like a World Cup, it's difficult to share a World Cup. But I certainly don't see any reason for it in just ordinary one-day series. In comes Shaheen Afridi, bowls lovely drive. I'm not sure whether Shaheen Afridi got his hand down to that and deflected it onto the stumps at the other end. It has hit the stumps at the other end. I guess Ollie Pope will be a little bit annoyed because it was a pretty good shot. He thought perhaps he might have got some runs for it, but he hasn't. No, he didn't get his hand down there. It's a long way for him to go, 6'6" of him, but it did hit the leg stump at the far end.
Yes, in the Ireland game, Owen Morgan hit a drive so well that it hit the stumps and still went for 4.
That's right. Yes, it did. It pinged off, didn't it, out towards where it would have been wide-ish, long off, or almost deep extra cover. Shaheen Afridi in for the final ball of his 6th over. Will we see him bowl another one, or will we see Naseem Shah? In comes Shaheen, bowls full, reaching for it a little bit, but playing it well, finding the gap. There is a little bit of open space on the offside, and they're going to take advantage to the tune of 2 runs. Naseem Shah comes in to collect the ball on the bounce at the non-striker's end, and that is the end of the over. Fred?
Ralph the Wonder Llama says, ultra doomed. Gitson Grat says, a bear, a bishop and a scouser, an Irishman, a load of gorillas walk into a bar. The barman says, is this some kind of a joke? Yes, he says, I think I need to set up a direct debit.
Yes, you're absolutely. Stick it. Well, this is it. If you open a direct debit, you can make as many ridiculous puns and jokes as you like.
You can set up monthly recurring donations on PayPal.
Yeah, there is that. You can do it on PayPal, you can do it on patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket. So many ways to help. Did we have any entries, incidentally, for the GPL
We
today?
did have a few. We had Nuna82 on 221, Joe Willoughby on 229, 237 and 245, and Hombre Nuevo on 297.
We near any of those? I can't do the arithmetic at the moment as Mohammed Abbas comes in and bowls a straight probing delivery at Joe Root. He defends it with the full face.
Let's see. Pakistan started this morning on 139 for 2, so 326 take 139, 187, and England are now on 28. So we're on 215. Yes, the GPL's in play.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
We've still got an hour to play, or thereabouts.
Yeah, but so it's very
Possibly.
exciting. This is going to show you how exciting it gets if you take part every morning. Here comes Abbas into Root. He leaves the ball outside the off stump, about 8 inches outside the off stump, comfortably left alone. And
we should double check if umpires Kettleborough or Illingworth have entered the GPL and take us off for no reason when they've hit the right target.
Is that a man talking of pain of having entered the GPL lately and then being foxed by umpires?
No.
Okay.
Brian Barish confirms that the people who wanted a super over at the end of the Kent-Essex game were absolutely serious. He thinks they were big fans of the IPL, and it was in a YouTube chat. They were very annoyed there was no super over, but they won it anyway. So
Mohammed Abbas in, bowls to Root, probing again around that off stump with a good length, a testing length, which makes the batsman think, do I go forward, do I go back? He does come forward and defends into the offside. There is no run.
A little bit of a look that Mohammed Abbas might just be straying into the danger area as far as his bowler's run-up is concerned. He does bowl very, very close to the stumps most of the time, Mohammed Abbas. Meanwhile, Imam ul-Haq, the subfielder, is bringing out a helmet for Mohammed Rizwan, so he is coming up to the stumps.
Now this is interesting. We didn't see how far outside his crease Root was batting. It would be helpful if they could show us the previous delivery and perhaps give us an idea of that. But Rizwan has certainly done that. He's come right up to the stumps. Root is building his guard to keep his back foot inside the line of the crease. Here comes Mohammed Abbas. He bowls to Root, and Root goes back to a ball that's angled towards his leg stump and clips it. It's half fielded by the man at mid-wicket, who allows the ball to escape but in front of him, so he runs towards the pitch to retrieve it, and there is no run.
Certainly saw Pope batting maybe 6 inches to a foot outside of his crease. Stokes even further. I didn't see Root, but I think this is a smart move. The ball isn't moving as much as it was earlier, and Mohammed Rizwan, with the amount of keeping up to the stumps that Pakistani keepers have to do, should be okay, although not easy at 80 miles an hour.
Indeed. Here comes Mohammed Abbas past the umpire, bowls to Root. Root lets this one pass, and it's taken by Mohammed Rizwan for his first time being called into action in that position, and he did what was required pretty well, I have to say. Stayed down, took it cleanly in the gloves, and there is no run. I think he maybe got some praise from his teammates because he's smiling broadly at that. Root settles down and waits for the final ball of Mohammed Abbas's over. He's maybe not quite ready, the bowler. There's a change in the field being made, maybe. Here comes Abbas in for the final ball of the over. Bowls to Root. Root is forward, gets a thick inside edge. He's going to get a run behind square leg, maybe two. He's turning. He's going to have to hurry. There were two men after it, the man running back from short leg and also the man coming up from long leg. It was a left to the man coming in ultimately, but they did get back for the second. Root moves to 3. England are 30 for 3. They trail by 296.
Here comes Abbas, says Hendo. I think you need to stick your arm out if it's a request stop.
Hey.
In response to the random YouTuber complaining that there was no super over, Brian Barish does point out that, well, it was a bear who wanted a free hit in the test matches, to be fair. Tom Chapman, talking about Sibley, says he nearly walked. Dumb referral. We've got a joke by Neymar Butlins. I better read it first, just in case it's willing to donate money. He says, if you read this one out. Should we?
I don't know. How much are you willing to donate?
Well, how much are you willing to donate? Yeah, I think we need to. I'm only paying £1, he says, for this one. Okay. Wife, is this game now done? Me, no super over. Wife, oh, it's over. Super. Now we can watch what I want for a change. That's worth more than £1.
I was going to say, that's at least a £5.
That's dreadful. Naseem is coming into the attack. Naseem Shah, the 17-year-old, the man who made his debut at 16. He's renowned, or he's told, or his glory goes before him. We're told he's very, very quick. We're going to find out for the first time in this country anyway. And this is his jingle.
When the sea shall let go, he said to his dad that you're the man of the house now, because Nazim Shah is just that good.
Well, if his bowling is up to his jingle, it's going to be magnificent to see. 2 slips in the gully, ring of 3 on the offside from backward point, extra cover or cover point, and also a mid-off. And he's coming in to bowl his first ball in Test cricket in England. He's in, he bowls to Pope. It was quite quick outside the off stump, left alone by Pope. I think it was almost
84.
Well, it was a loosener, I suppose, but it was actually
Jimmy Anderson bowled
quicker than I thought it was. Actually, it's sort of strangely quick.
He's got a very quick arm action, Naseem Shah. He's quite whippy, and much more Wakar Yunus like. The 3 Pakistani fast bowlers all have a very different approach. You've got Shaheen Shah Afridi, 6'5", towering down those left-arm thunderbolts. Mohammad Abbas, nibbly, genius, and then Naseem Shah with these fast, slingy outswingers.
Nibbly genius. Wow, that's gone. That has gone. That went off the pitch. It started wide enough that Ollie Pope had nothing to do with it, but it flew through to Mohammad Rizwan, who grins again broadly, having taken that more or less in front of first slip. But that was, I think, gathering pace off the pitch. That really did go. It went far too much for even someone as good as Ollie Pope.
Who doesn't want Mr. Whippy on a day like this? Derek Willis says, compared to the overs bowled by England after lunch, all these overs are super overs.
Yes, good point. It was rather dismal. Here he comes again, not a particularly quick run-up, but he's hit him on the pad. He's one of those bowlers who's sharper than he looks, I think. Doesn't come off a massive run-up, and rather ambles up. And then, as you say, it's the whippiness of the action, isn't it?
That says 89 on the speed gun, that one.
And there you go. Well, that seemed to have very little apparent effort, and it crashed into Ollie Pope's pads. Barely before he time to get the bat down, and had him sort of tumbling over a little bit.
Far too high.
Oh, far too high, absolutely. But yeah, he's not also that big a man, is he, Naseem Shah? But he seems to be getting a little bit of lift. He's in again, bowls, and Pope looks for singles. He pushes this one square on the offside. He won't get it, and so England remain 30 for 3. So we have Naseem Shah, the 17-year-old genius. We have Mohammad Abbas, the 30-year-old genius, or 29-year-old genius. There are geniuses everywhere for Pakistan. This is why I felt that Pakistan had a good chance in this Test series. I saw a discussion that England start as clear favourites, and I thought, well, why exactly? If these guys live up to their reputation, it could be fascinating. Here he is again in, and this is helped around the corner by Pope. In fact, it might have come off his hip. We're just waiting to see if there's a signal from the umpire. There is. Leg by, and England move on to 31 for 3.
It's a measure of how well Pakistan have bowled that Joe Root is 3 off 37 balls. He would normally be well into the teens by this point at least. Such a positive player.
I was making that point that we look up, and Joe Root is one of those people who gets to the 30s, and you think, how did that happen? Well, he's barely got to the 3s so far off 37 deliveries. Pope has 12 from 24. 3 slips now for Naseem Shah. I think he started with 2. Extra man's come in, out from the cover area. He's in again, bowls to Root, who just looked to flirt with that one outside the stump, perhaps then drag the bat inside the line. That is the end of the first over from Naseem Shah in Test cricket in England. Pretty impressive, I think you have to say. England 31 for 3. Fred?
Yes, we're up to date with the tweets. I'm just trying to load Crick Tracker, so give me a minute and I'll see whether that works.
How the mighty have fallen. Surfraz Ahmed, formerly captain in all formats, is now running out a drink to a 17-year-old.
I know. This is the thing about cricket. It's like they say about sport in general, or particularly cricket, but it's a great leveller. And he's been brought down from any heights he ascended by that. The thing was, they were crying out for a new captain, weren't they? I think.
He looked
whatever you say about Sarfraz Ahmed's cricketing abilities, his captaincy abilities left quite a bit to be desired. We tend to let the game drift, didn't he?
We saw the most egregious example of it in Malahide when the night Kevin O'Brien got his 100. We counted, I think it was 3 bowling changes in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Fielding changes is what I meant. He just left the field as it was completely.
Yeah, it was one of those guys who just forgotten that he was captain, basically, I think, and things, if there were changes, they happened around him rather than because of him. So I think they needed a new captain. It'd be interesting to see how Azhar Ali deals with these incredibly good young bowlers and the genius that is Mohammad Abbas. And of course the two leg spinners that he's got in his armoury as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Azhar Ali, or what Azhar Ali brings to the captaincy that Sarfaraz Ahmed was unable to do.
We've had some joined by some people on Crick Tracker. Rao Kaleem says, "Good work, you guys. Hats off to for your efforts." Sheikh Abu Huraira says hello. We're also joined by Miraj Khan, Miraj, Sheikh Abu Huraira again, Mulazim Hussein, Joya Chowdhury Afsan, Bilal PKS, Alamin Sheikh, Awan Joshi. Mohammed Abdul Rahman says, "Come on, Nassim Shah, you can do it." Yeah, I think he can. Mushtaq Ahmed says, "Need bowling change." I'm not sure what that's about. Kasim
not that
Abbas
Mushtaq
says,
Ahmed, presumably.
Usman Shahid is also looking forward to seeing Nassim. So hello to all of you out there in Crick Tracker land, except MD Sojib Khan Sojib, who's spamming our comments with the T10 Finnish Premier League.
Oh, the Finnish Premier League. Yes, I was aware that was going on. That might be one of those leagues that I was talking about earlier with Jono, about how in many of these tournaments players don't seem to be getting paid.
It was the Bangladesh Premier League.
At the moment we're having a drinks break, I think, which is why we're seeing a repeat of Dominic Sibley's demise. He went LBW, as did Rory Burns. Rory Burns was the first to go. And then Ben Stokes was done by an absolute beauty. And you wonder whether that actually, batting so far outside your crease, as Ben Stokes tends to do now, is the right approach against a bloke who moves the ball quite as much. Surely you want to hit it later in its path, in its trajectory, rather than going towards it. Anyway, Mohammad Abbas continues. He's got a man at silly mid-off now, and this is driven by Ollie Pope up to mid-on. Mohammad Rizwan still up behind the stump, preventing Pope from taking any chance to bat outside his crease.
Strange Carrot says, "Spooky, 30-3. Well, it's 31-3 now, so it's no longer spooky." Diana Patterson says, "I think that if you have a green uniform in ODIs, you can beat England in any format." And Nuna says, "Pakistan were 9-2 to win this test before play. Madness." Well, not necessarily madness.
Pope plays this into the onside. It was a straight ball, nothing wrong with the ball, in fact, but he's worked it away pretty well. They've come through for a single. It's been chased down by the man at mid-on and mid-wicket, Shaheen Afridi being one of those. And England moved to 32-3. They trail by 294.
You have to remember that England have just played 3 test matches and are in a bit of form, having won the last 2 of them. The batsmen are scoring runs and bowlers are taking wickets, and Pakistan hadn't played a game in anger for 7, 8, 9 months. So on that measure, you would think that England were strong favourites before the start.
Root defends the next delivery on the front foot. Ball runs to the man at silly mid-off, and we're talking about captaincy, and this is a little bit funky from Azhar Ali, having this silly mid-off in for Mohammad Abbas. Everything is saying stay in your crease, Joe Root. So don't get out to meet the ball, because we're going to try and force you further and further back, maybe look to get that LBW. That is what it tends to do if you put a man in front on the offside like that.
And that's what Stokes was trying to do, not get caught on the crease to Mohammad Abbas. Perhaps went a little bit too far the other way. He was actually slightly on the walk when he played it. I don't know if him being in a normal position would have helped, because it was such a good ball.
It was a good ball, but I don't know. Abbas bowls again. Onto the back foot goes Root. Holds his bat up in the air to say to his partner, Ollie Pope, no, there won't be a run there, as it runs towards cover point. England 32-3. Root has 3. Pope has 13. More
Brian Peacock bemoans the fact that Folkes continues to be ignored. Yeah, I think we may have made that point once or twice. Hilary Evans says, "Are there stats that prove that umpires don't call no balls since Hawkeye was introduced?" I don't know. Are there?
It's a moot
I
point
don't know.
now.
I suppose someone could find out those stats. I wouldn't really like to be tasked with that, I have to say. Mohammad Abbas in again, bowls to Root. He leaves this one outside the stump. Mohammad Rizwan takes it. and threatens to bring the ball back to the wicket, but there's no problem. Joe Root says to Mohamed Rizwan, "Would you mind if I just wander down the pitch for a moment and have a little prod?" And ever accommodating Mohamed Rizwan grins. He's very grinnish, isn't he? He's very grinnish, is Mohamed Rizwan. He's enjoying his work, and he says, "Yes, certainly, sir. Off you go." Anyway, 2 slips and a gully for Mohamed Abbas, for Joe Root, and he waits. The Pakistani goes on wide on the crease, and then he gets in behind this one. He keeps a little bit low, defends it to the shortish mid-off, and there is no run. That is the end of Mohamed Abbas's 7th over. He's got figures of 2 for 24, and England are 32 for 3.
Jim Bob liked Gitz and Gratz's joke, which is a bit odd. Neymar Butlin says, "I thought that we should see a lot of slow spin from the Pakistan team. This looks like the Windies from the 80s. Bloody hell!"
Well, I mean,
so Neymar.
Well, it kind of looks like the Pakistan from the 90s, actually. Not unlike the Wacker and Wazim show.
And then you throw in some really good spinners as well.
Yep. I would expect that we'll see one of those spinners, at least one of those, fairly soon. Naseem starts a new over, bowls to Pope, and that hurried him outside the off stump. There is something about bowlers who have not a particularly long run up, and they come in and you don't expect them to unleash the pace that they do. They hurry you up as a batsman.
Archer has
and
some
it looked
of
to
that.
me as if Ollie Pope was hurried by that delivery.
He did seem to hit the bat pretty hard.
It did. Yes, absolutely. I think that it being the right description, it was the ball hitting the bat rather than the other way around. Here comes Naseem Shah again. A few little paces up to the wicket, bowls to Pope. Pope is forward to this one, getting the front foot well out, and he defends this one up to mid-on. And there is
some more people join us on Click Tracker. Rahman Bitani says, "I love you, Pakistan." Mushtaq Ahmed Naik says, "Why not live match?" Well, there is a live match, we're just not allowed to show it. Mushtaq, he says again, "Hello, please show live." No. Rizwan Khan says, "Very good bowling, Pakistan." Ghulam Giuliani says, "Nice." Prince Akash says, 31 for 3. Hafiz Tanzil says, "GH." And Gulzar Aziz has also joined us. So hello to you all. I hope you're enjoying our coverage.
Naseem Shah in again, bowls to Pope down the leg side, has Mohamed Rizwan rolling away to his left and getting gloves upon it, if not taking it cleanly. And there is no run.
Sort of thing that can really annoy a batter, missing out on a scoring opportunity down the leg side. It's the kind of thing that, particularly somebody like Pope, who likes to score fluently, could mean that he's tempted into something stupid.
Looking at Naseem, he's quite well built for a 17-year-old, isn't he? I don't mean that in any suspicious way at all, but
have you done a survey?
Quite mature looking. He's quite mature looking, I have to say. He's quite well built. He's filled out. He's done his filling out. This is driven by Pope and driven beautifully straight of the man at mid-on between the non-striker and he, and it is run away for a glorious boundary.
The textbook punched on drive.
This next tweet from Dave Wood ends with, "How much do I owe you?" which is always a good sign. He says, "While we're on a bad joke, bad pun run, how many fish besides a bass have played international cricket?"
Jonathan Trout.
We'll have to have a think
this
about
sounds like one for Grubby.
Yeah, he'll be back soon. That was 90 miles an hour, that previous delivery. Onto the back foot goes Pope, and he works it through mid-wicket. He's looking for a second. He's running the first one quickly, but he won't get it. Just settle for that. So the balls we've had this over have been 89, 88, 89, 90 and 89. Well, you know what? For my money, he doesn't vary his pace enough.
Grubby from the green room says there have been a lot of pollocks, which is much of what Grubby says is a lot of pollock.
Yeah.
But everyone's now frantically Googling types of fish.
Salmon
butt. They're brushing off their fish.
Salmon billings.
God. Into Root, who goes on the back foot and then defends this with a full face of the bat and a high elbow. Ball runs up to mid-on, and there is no run. So 5 runs from Naseem's first 2 overs. England have moved to 37 for 3. Root has 3 of 43. Pope has 18 of 31.
Murali Karpik.
Oh, very good. Very good. Are we getting £1 for each one of these?
No.
Not so good then.
But it's one of these things that our listeners love, I have to say. I mean, when the game's a bit slow, we usually do, cheese puns was always a good favourite.
Crisps as well. Crisps tends to be a favourite point of discussion. Grubby says Lawrence Rowe.
Rowe. That's not a fish. It's a bit of a fish.
That's a bit of a fish. Yeah, I wonder if you can say, is there anyone who's got a name anything like Tara Mazzolata? Anyway, it's going to be Yasir Khan. Yasir Shah. I better get that right. He's coming in from the James Anderson end. We're going to see some leg break bowling. The man who, tortured England in that first test, wasn't it, in 2016 at Lord's. Then went for quite a lot of runs before coming back at the Oval and picking up another 5-wicket haul. He's going to be
Martin
bowling.
Guppy.
Oh God!
Let's have a jingle.
Oh, pet! Here comes a leg spinner. He's got a googly to admire. Fucking hell, it's Yasir Shah.
Here he is, in, and he bowls a bad ball, which pitches outside leg stump, turns back a little bit, but it gives plenty of time to the batsman Pope to go back and pull it away down to deep backward square leg. They run through for 2. Pope moves to 20, and England
coach
39 for 3.
Jonathan Trout, says my brother.
I just said that.
Mark Stonefish, the England opener.
Oh God, that's terrible.
What about, of course, our favourite from a couple of years back, Mitchell Starc?
Mitchell Starc, indeed.
Absolutely. Now, Yasir Shah seems to be complaining about the ball, having delivered one ball with it. He's not happy. Out come the handcuffs. The ball is going to... it only just passes through. There's just a little bit of resistance, but I think the umpire's going to toss it back to him and say, get on with it. And Yasir Shah says, OK.
Stuart Lamprey.
OK. He's in to Pope, who drives this through an opening in the offside. He's got protection at deep cover, so it's just the single. And England move into the 40s, 40 for 3, which looks a lot better than 12 for 3, it has to be said. But still a lot of work for these two to do. And we're looking at those tests in England. He missed out, didn't he, in 2018? He had some injury problems,
hip injury.
if I remember.
Shadab played on that tour.
Yeah, hip injury.
Marlon Samuels.
All right, then. His figures for Old Trafford in the first innings of the 2016 test were 1 for 213.
I remember in that test and in the third test, he had to bowl a lot of overs because Sohail Khan broke down after his second and third spell.
Oh, now he's gone up for a leg before decision. The ball may have pitched outside leg, turned back across Joe Root a little bit. I think that's what saved him, is where the ball pitched, but it certainly turned, and Broad wasn't incredibly far forward, so it was worth perhaps discussing with Azhar Ali, who's cutting a very engaged figure at the moment.
Pitched outside leg, might even have hit him outside leg.
May well have done. Yasir Shah in again, bowls, and Root is beaten by a really ripping leg spinner as he pushes forward on off stump. That's done far too much. You're not going to get near that, but that is a warning and that is a worry for England, the fact that Yasir Shah almost immediately is getting that ball to do that. And there was also a little bit of in-drift, which is always a sign of the great leg spinner. Shane Warne, of course, used to get it to drift in beautifully and then turn away. He's in again, bowls to Root. Root watches this one. He watches it turn away from him as he gets his front foot forward and allows it to pass. We're just looking at that LBW decision. It did pitch well outside leg stump, well, an inch or two. We're not going to see the impact point, so it's difficult to say. Mohammed Rizwan wasn't interested in it. He quite perceptibly said to the bowler, that's not out. A slip in a gully, forward short leg. He's in again. Root takes this on the full and sweeps it well. Finds the gap out there at deep backward square, and that has run away for his first boundary.
It's Nissan Shi. It's Nissan Shi.
Yeah, we've had another fish added to the many that are coming through. Richard Ealingworth.
Ooh, that's terrible.
Terrible, but also quite good.
Come through from the green room, we've had Salmon Butt, Ray Jennings, says Chris DB, or anyone called Ray, in fact. Stephen Finn, of course, says Anna Forsyth. John Dory Burns, that pirate bad shot. Walleye Hammond, Adam Gill, Chris. We're moving away from fish to parts of fish with the rows, gills and fins. But Zimbabwe could be described as Test cricket's minnows, says Ducker Boy. I don't think I get that.
Fiver, please.
No, right. Well, Naseem Shah is going to continue. None for 5 from his 2 overs. He's going to be bowling to Ollie Pope, who has moved quite impressively to 21, coming in a very difficult position. He's in, bowls, and he drives handsomely and well. There was a sort of swan dive there from the man at extra cover, but he did manage to get a hand to it, and it's run away from the man chasing it. It's gone for 4.
Pope isn't going to be cowed by the pace of Naseem Shah. There's a couple that hit the bat really hard, but that wasn't a half volley by any means. He drove that kind of on the up, but hit it down into the ground. I think that was Yasir Shah flying across like somebody on a goalkeeping trial.
Yes, and failing dismally. Don't come back, son. I think your talents lie in another sport. 48.
Why nobody's come up with Kemar Roach yet? I don't know.
They have. Grubby did it a few minutes ago. In comes Naseem again to bowl to Pope, and Pope is forward. He's looking for a single on the onside. He'll get it as it goes past. I think it's Abid Ali there at square leg. I think it's probably Shaheen Afridi who then runs round from mid-on to field. They get through for 1. And England just repairing their innings from the holes that were made below the line very early on. Very nice angle we're getting on Naseem Shah at the moment from Sky, and you can see just how quick he is from, I suppose, from a position of about extra cover, deep extra cover. Here he comes again into Root. Root is back and in defence, playing the ball out to Yasir Shah at cover point. There is no run. 49 for 3. Root has 7. Pope has 26. England at one point were 12 for 3, and things were looking mighty gloomy. But a little bit of repair work has been done here by Root, who's been very patient, scoring his 7 from 48 balls, and a slightly busier Pope now on 26 from 35. Naseem Shah in again from the end of his run-up. Well, short legs, hasn't he? He must have quite a long body. He's in, he bowls a foolish ball to Root, who steps forward and plays that neatly enough into the covers.
He's what, you say, 5'10"? He's not especially tall.
No, he isn't. I would say, yeah, probably something like that, 5'10". And, yeah, that's quite sort of, I would say he's athletic in the lower body. He looks very bulky in a good way in the top part of his body.
Good strong shoulders.
Plenty of strength in there, yeah, absolutely. Strong shoulders and quick arm, which is probably what you need. Hasn't got the regulation big fat arse of a fast bowler, but maybe that will come with age. Here he comes again into Root. Root goes back and then leaves it outside the off stump. The ball swings a little bit after it's gone past the batsman. Mohammed Rizwan finds himself diving away to his left and takes it pretty well.
That's pretty tough for a keeper, because that went away off the seam and then swung round to the leg side. Good take.
Yeah, and maybe we are seeing what happens when you get a genuinely decent wicketkeeper, because he did that with very little fuss. We've seen a lot of balls dipping on wicketkeepers at Old Trafford, and Shane Darrett and Joss Butler have had all sorts of problems. But that was very neat and tidy from Mohammed Rizwan. Here is Naseem to finish this over. He's in, bowls to Root. Root is onto the back foot, just drops it down square on the offside. It runs about 10 yards away from him. It's picked up by the man at Gully. It's the end of the over. England are 49 for 3.
Eric Willis says Dhoni's nickname is Mahi. I will be in the sea, says Craig Great White or Stingray Illingworth. Bert Karp, says Nestlers. I'm not sure who that's referring to.
Bert Karp?
I don't know. You could have had Donald Karp, the old
You just
England
made that up,
captain.
haven't you?
Martin Peacock turned on the cricket. He didn't realise that Pope was an opener. And Neymar Butland says, you can sink an app, but you can't tune a fish.
Hey.
Is this hot mic on?
Douglas
How did
Sardine.
Sorry.
Douglas Sardine.
Douglas Sardine, yeah.
Where did that one come from? Yasir Shah in. Pope goes back, cuts. Can't get it past the man at backward point. And there is no run. I mean, you're seeing skilled batsmen and skilled bowlers, really skilled, both of them. And it's It's fascinating to watch at the moment as one tries to get the upper hand over the other. In comes Yasir Shah, bowls flat, filth. That's not going to get the upper hand, and that is pulled away by Pope all the way through mid-wicket for one of these.
My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
A genuine long hop, but I feel sorry for Abid Ali, who I think it is fielding there at short leg, because he could have taken that nastily on the back as he tried to take evasive action. Fortunately, it missed him and went away for 4. 50 up for England, 53 for 3. Yes, leg spinners will occasionally get it wrong, and Yasir did very much so there. Here he comes again. What's he's got as a response? He throws it up, and down the wicket comes Ollie Pope and meets it nicely. There is a man at deep mid-wicket, Mohammed Abbas, and they get through for just the 1. They move to 54 for 3.
Nestler says somewhat plaintively, come on, you must remember Burt Cup. Spicy Golden Deck says Harry Gurnard. How could we forget Archerfish, says Anatol San.
Well, we did. What can we say? We are rightfully chastised. Yasir in, bowls, and Root reads that because he thrusts the pad at it. And had that been the googly, or the one that even goes straight on, he might have been in some trouble, but it wasn't. It was the leg break, and it went safely away from him and was taken by Mohammed Rizwan.
The overspin he's putting on that, because the seam is pointing towards slip. The dip and the bounce that he's getting is really impressive. Yasir doesn't actually turn the ball all that much, so I think the fact that he got that big turning leg break in the first over will give him some confidence.
Another leg break which Root tries to brush away down backward square on the offside, doesn't get it far enough away from the backward point, and there is no run.
Sometimes you just want to show. Sometimes you want to show the batter the big turning one to make the one that doesn't turn so much more effective a little bit later on.
Yes, absolutely. Yasir in again, a bit wider on the crease. He looks for the paddle sweep and he plays it well. He's going to get 1. He's going to get 2. Might in fact beat Naseem Shah to the boundary. It does, and Root moves to 11. England 58 for 3.
Now my engine's going. Great guns. I hit the ball. 4 runs. I hit the ball and it went for 4 runs.
Very well controlled shot by Root there. Really knew what he was doing and did it well. That was the end of the over. We'll have one more and then we'll have a change. Grubby will come in and do his only ball by ball of the day. And at the end of that, the 18th over, England had advanced to 58 for 3. Pope has 31 in 38 deliveries. Root, with that boundary, moved on to 11 from 54. It will still be Naseem Shah to bowl, and he's going to be bowling to Ollie Pope with 2 slips and a gully. He's in, bowls a short one, a really short one. That's the first bouncer he's aimed at either of these batsmen, but Pope gets comfortably down and underneath it and is not overly troubled. It's not actually that short, but there was a little bit more effort in banging that into the pitch.
It's that skiddy angle of his. It might make the bouncer harder to play because it doesn't ever fly over your head. Like some of Archer's, as good as Archer is with the short ball, because he's quite tall and he bowls with a very upright action, the balls just ping over your head and you can watch it sail up there more easily, whereas it's just coming at you all the time. It's much more difficult.
Here is Shah again. Naseem Shah in, bowls to Pope, who meets this with the full face of the bat. The ball travels up to mid-on and there is no run. It's 89 miles an hour, but it doesn't really look 89 miles an hour, does it? He's sharp without you realising it. Those can be among the most dangerous bowlers in the world.
Really pinged off Pope's bat though. He met that very firmly.
He did indeed. We're seeing a close-up of Misbah. Misbah's beard has taken on a life of its own, has it not?
It's longer than Bushy's.
Bushy's is greying, but he is the great wise ones of Pakistan cricket there. He's in again, bowls to Pope, fiddles this out into the offside on the front foot. It's picked up by Yasir Shah running across from extra cover, and there is no run.
I'm going to get mildly technical here, but we talk a lot about batters, playing with the top hand. Actually, the bottom hand sometimes in defence can be really important, because remember was it Shannon Gabriel who almost literally burst through Ollie Pope's defences with one, I think it was at Southampton. sometimes when you're holding the bottom hand too loosely, the bat just doesn't have enough force to keep the ball out. So you almost need to stiffen the bottom hand at the moment of impact.
Well, absolutely, yeah. That is what all the best batsmen do. This is defended up to mid-off, and there is no run. England remain 58 for 3. Misbah, what an inspirational figure for Pakistan. It led them to great victories when they've not been able to play at home, and turned himself into a really good test player, a really good test batsman, as well as a very good captain, inspirational captain, and hopefully now an inspirational coach with some of these young promising players coming through. Here is Naseem Shah in again outside the off-stump. He has a flash at that, does Pope, and he's lucky that he doesn't get a thin edge through. It's taken, well, above his shoulders really by Mohammad Rizwan, so there was plenty of pace in that delivery. Flew through, but Pope really shouldn't have been playing a shot like that. I don't think it was rising a bit too much on him to play the forcing shot off the back foot, really, and perhaps a little bit annoyed with himself that he did let his excitement get the better of him there.
You could see him admonishing himself. If you're going to go at those outside off stump, try and cut them hard rather than...
Well, you've got to cut them up. You've got to get them over the top of the slips, haven't you, really? Final ball of the over of my spell. Oh, that's come back a long way. The big appeal for LBW might be high. Yes, that seems to be what Richard Kettleborough is suggesting, but that really pinged back and took Pope on the pad, or even above the pad. It was a very sharp delivery. It's the end of the over. A very good one from Naseem Shah. He's really beginning to find his rhythm. Wow, that has cut back, I don't know, about a foot. That's a cracking delivery.
Yeah, I mean, it's hit Ollie Pope on the back hip, but that has come in, from outside off stump to hit him in front of middle at nearly 90 miles an hour. Grubby, this is some bowling we're seeing. Welcome, mate. I've commentated with you for a while, it feels like.
No, it really is.
Look at the movement there.
It's tremendous stuff, and a varied attack from Pakistan. It's my first real watch of the kid, Naseem Shah. He looks sharp and skiddy and all the things you boys have been saying. And I always like watching Yasir bowl as well. So
should we add to his reputation by just calling him the kid from now on?
The kid.
The kid.
That's what my mate Deco and I always used to call Mohammed Amir, actually, the kid.
There you
Burst
go.
onto the scene. Yep. So, yeah.
I'll see him in the T20s.
58 for 3, England. Root, his patient 11, gets on a leg stump and turns it into the leg side. He'll have good memories of playing Yasir Shah at this ground. Faced a lot of him during that 254 back in 2016. He's 3 for 2 on this occasion, taking him to 13, England to 60 for 3. And Ollie Pope at the other end has been busy as ever. And just what you want to see with your team in a little bit of trouble is someone trying to take it back to the opposition.
Well, we've seen some good counter-scampering today, most notably from Shadab and Shan Masood.
Yeah, I thought Shadab played a really good innings, actually. Coming in at number 7. Some people may say it's a tick or two too high for him in the test team, but he batted very well in support of Shan. This one is thrown up outside the off stump, and an inside edge from Root, a false shot there. It squirts away on the leg side. There is no run. Root, having batted now for 56 deliveries for his 13, markedly slower than he is used to scoring at this level, and the circumstances will have demanded it to a certain extent, he will think.
I love the way Yasir's bowling on this pitch.
He has a slip and a leg slip. This is a full delivery, which Root is able to steer square of the wicket on the offside, and they are through for a single.
Yeah, that wasn't his best delivery, but he's really trying to get some overspin on the ball, some revs on the ball. He's trying to toss the ball up out of the hand. You sometimes see him, particularly in the UAE, bowling very flat and almost sort of 60 miles an hour and just letting the pitch do the work, but he's trying to add the revs he gets on the ball and the turn, trying to marry that with beating the batter in the flight.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a helpful pitch. It's only going to get more helpful for the spinners. He's dispensed with the leg slip for Ollie Pope. Bowls one which just spins outside the off stump, and Pope is back and cutting this one hard backward of point, and they're through for another single. Yeah, I mean, I think he would view this as a relatively helpful pitch. Probably doesn't need to be doing anything too funky. Just run in bowl, do your normal thing, let the pitch do some of the work, and introduce your variations. Don't try and force it. I don't think
he doesn't use the googly particularly often. He doesn't have an especially good googly. He's got the one that goes straight on. 50 partnership up between these two, dominated by the young Pope.
Yep, in comes Yassir again. That leg slip is back in. Has he been caught behind? He has been caught behind. Yassir does get the wicket of Root. Root has got to go, looking to chop this one behind square. It's probably a bit too close for the shot, and he's under-edged it through to Mohammad Rizwan, who does the rest. And that is a big blow for Pakistan late in the evening, 62 for 4.
Top edge, I think, top corner of the bat.
Yeah,
It's
it
a
was
good
actually.
take.
Yeah, he's sort of chopping down on it and actually feathered it through off the top edge. And he's got to go. 14 from 58. He'll think to himself, "We've done lots of the hard work there. Just looking towards stumps and consolidate and get back in your groove for tomorrow morning." But he's got to go now. And excellent breakthrough for Yassir and Pakistan right in the box seat.
So that little bit of extra bounce that did for Joe Root. As you say, it was too close to cut. It wasn't. He does like going back to the spinners, and he plays them well off the back foot, but that was just a little bit too close to cut. And it's a good take from Mohammad Rizwan with that extra bounce and with the little, actually the quite sharp deflection off the corner of the bat.
Well, I wonder actually whether Root was expecting that to be the leg break and to spin a little bit more, and that's why it ended up being too close to cut, because that ball more or less went straight on, didn't do anything. He was perhaps expecting it to turn a little bit more as he went to play that cut down through the gully region, and that may be why, or one of the reasons why he got that little edge. Good catch though. Good
might
catch.
have been the top spinner, the over spinner, the straight honour or something.
The one that didn't turn.
Either way, it was good enough.
Anyway, this brings to the crease a man who's had a rotten test match so far.
Pryor ain't no loss, 'cause we found someone Sutler. Okay, he can't spell Joss, but he also can't spell Butler. Joss Butler. Just because he is Joss Butler. One S and two T's, Joss Butler.
Yeah, it was definitely flatter and quicker looking at again that delivery from Yassir that got Root.
You do wonder whether perhaps Mohammad Rizwan had a word with Joss Butler as he walked by, saying, "That's how you take a catch when you're standing up."
Rizwan, I always want to say it in a Glaswegian accent. Rizwan. Something that Billy Connolly might say. Rizwan. Right, 62 for 4. Joe Root is gone, and Joss Butler, who, as has been widely advertised as having a torrid test match, is forward to his first delivery, playing it to the offside defensively. That's the end of the over. It's the 20th in this innings. It was a successful one for Pakistan and Yassir Shah, and it's 62 for 4.
Ralph the Wanderlama says, Root conditioning himself to play the anchor role here. Out. Hashtag.
Was he out in the middle of the tweet when you wrote it?
He might well have been, mightn't he? Grits and Grat says, after a few more sessions at the clinic, you'll soon be able to add Ben Stokes' red mullet. Yeah, okay, fair enough. We're still on fish jokes, and you're still paying us £1 for every one you make. Anna Forsyth says, gorilla innuendo, make the bottom hand stiff. And Abhishek says, what happened to the plan of giving Abbas a 40 over spell? I don't think that was ever going to happen, was it? Really?
I mean, he's a bit of a workhorse, but that would be torture, wouldn't it? Here's the kid into bowl, Naseem Shah, and forward comes Pope in defence, playing it back to the bowler, and there is no run.
I think we should actually possibly copyright that, the kid, do you think? Property of Guerrilla Cricket. Anyone else calling him the kid from now on must pay us a fee.
It's not like it's ever been used as a sporting nickname ever in the past, is it?
Absolutely never. No. It's been used in, I don't know, spaghetti westerns, things like that. The Kid. It's been used by DJs, Kid Jensen.
Well, there was Prince Naseem. Why couldn't we have Kid Naseem?
Yeah, we could, absolutely. Kid Naseem, very good.
Here's the Kid Naseem. Another straight ball on middle leg stump, which Pope defends back up the track, and it's fielded by the man at mid-arm.
I almost like it better without the article, so just Kid Naseem.
Kid
Naseem. We can make a jingle out of that, I'm sure. Leah, the Wicked Witch, says, what a captain's knock that was. Well done, the lad. Well, it was quite a good knock until that point.
It was shaping quick up to be one.
It was. He'd done, as Grubby said, he'd done the hard work.
Pope on 32, anchoring this innings for England. He gets the ball outside the off stump, which he has nothing to do with. That's through to the keeper. Mohammad Rizwan.
Aye.
It's a great name to say in a Glaswegian accent, isn't it? Rizwan. It's like saying Szechuan chicken.
Grubby, how much would someone have to donate for you to do your entire spell as Billy Connolly?
Oh yes.
Well, I mean, let's see where the bids get to.
All right, we'll start it at. We probably need more. We need I was going to say 20.
All right, 20 quid. 20 quid for.
Did we hear 20?
Do we hear 20 out there?
Right, I'll ease off for now. Then I won't.
Yeah, don't spoil them with it.
I won't give it away for nothing.
No, we're not. No, you've got to keep your talents and know your value.
Just one slip in place. It's about third slip. This one is pulled by Pope, only a fraction short from Nassim, but this pitch has flattened out to a certain extent, and he's managed to pull this one through wide mid wicket for a very welcome one of these for him.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, not a great deal of foot movement actually. He just sort of stood there and played it from the crease, but it was short enough that he was able to get on top of it, and he's obviously seeing it fairly well, the lad.
Yeah, I think he's seeing it early there. I mean, to be able to play that so much in front of square, definitely seeing that pretty quickly.
I mean, he's been compared a lot to Ian Bell, hasn't he?
Yes.
Pope? I think he's I mean, there are elements of his game which are similar. The cover drive, the sumptuous cover drive, not quite in the Bubba League, but not too far off, but certainly Bell-esque. But he's definitely busier all round as a batsman. This is driven, is that? Thought that had been an absolute worldie there, diving across Shadab Khan from a sort of a fourth slip gully position, but it's flashed away to the third man boundary for the second one of these in a row.
I mean, Shadab's a good fielder. That would have been an outrageous catch. Pope threw his hands at that. That's another thing that's different from Ian Bell. Ian Bell was all about the checked cover drive, but Pope really he's much more Joe Root-like with the way he throws his hands through the line of the ball.
Well, funny enough, Joe Root plays that, the run down to third man in the way that Bell used to do as well, which Pope perhaps doesn't in the same way.
But also, don't underestimate how players that play together a lot might learn certain things from each other.
There's 40 now. Pope in England moved on to 70 for 4, and he's forward in defence this time. Little round of applause, like you always used to get in India after a 4, and then a defensive shot, big ripple of applause, as if to say, thank God you're not going too mad and got out straight away. 70 for 4 is the score at the end of that over.
Right, I'm looking for
thrilling sessions.
I'm looking for offers. Let me have a little look down the tweet sphere. Nothing so far. Billy Connolly supposedly called Stephen Fry once, repeatedly said Benjamin Netanyahu, and then hung up. Well, it's the obvious thing to do, isn't it? If Root hadn't got out, then there wouldn't have been a chance for Butler to get into positive credit after his keeping handicap before the declaration, says Perko. And we've got some more stats news from Zahir in a minute.
Here is Yasir Shah starting a new over, bowling to Jos Buttler, who's only just come to the crease, and he pushes this one into the offside defensively, and there is no run.
I'm not going to really mention that, Leah, about Michael Slater and the various things you've said about him, but she does want you to do a spell as Michael Slater.
This is driven by Butler. It was a rather full delivery from Yasir, and it's fielded at a wide mid-off position. There's no run.
These two batted very well together in the third test at Old Trafford against the West Indies.
Well, they need to bat well again today, don't they? These two, England in a little bit of trouble.
In comes Yasir again with figures of 1 for 20. He's got rid of Joe Root for his team, but this is defended by Butler into the offside. There is no run. I could do my Michael Slater and Richie Benno kind of exchange, which I've done on a number of occasions. It's just a small story involving slats that both of you have heard many times, but 2 or 3 of our listeners may not have. Do that at the end of the over if you like, Leah. Butler remains on 0, having faced just 4 deliveries.
We have an offer of €5.52.
Oh, he thought about reverse sweeping that for a
yes.
nanosecond, I think. Butler then played a more conventional paddle down to long leg. He's going to get off the mark with 2. Full delivery, that one from Yasir.
It's good positivity.
Do you think €5.52 for Billy Connolly? I'm not quite sure that's enough.
We might see if we can get it to 20 sterling, I think, in the next couple of minutes. What have we got? We've got until this spell's going to last until about 7, isn't it? Do we have to go off at 7? I think we do, don't we?
I think we do, yes. I think so. Yeah. We have to go.
And I've got a roast dinner at 7:15, so I'm on a promise. This is paddled once more by Butler. It was another full delivery, so he's able to make it into a full toss. The kid does the fielding down at long leg. and they are back for another 2.
This is going to be another innings of Butler sweeping the spinners a lot. Remember that 50 he scored in Sri Lanka in the second test?
Well, he may get an opportunity tonight. I guess first thing tomorrow he's not going to face too much spin when the pace bowlers are fresh again. I think that second paddle sweep he was looking to reverse it, and then he can swap very quickly from one to the other.
Lovely hands, lovely eyes, lovely hands. This one he allows to pass through. Quite a big spinning, conventional leg spinner. Well taken by Rizwan.
Presumably we're going to see Shadab Khan for at least an over or 2 tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, you would, wouldn't you? I would, at least. Now, why is... Oh, yeah, the scoreboard was wrong momentarily there. It's had Butler on only 2, but he's up to 4 now. Obviously, I'm counting his every run. Annie, if you're listening, I'm hoping to inspire him to some tremendous West Country feats of greatness. Now we've got one of the opening bowlers is coming back on for an over, it looks like.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely magnificent he was. 1 for 7 with 3 maidens in his 6-over spell.
It's always time for Shaheen Afridi. No, not that other guy, Shaheen. It's always time for Shaheen Afridi. No, not that other guy, he used to find the ball. Shaheen Afridi, Shaheen Afridi.
Going to come back to that Rory Burns dismissal in a moment as he starts a new spell, and it's on the leg stump of Ollie Pope, who just tucks it via a combination, I think, of bat and pad into the leg side. No, it's just pad off his hip. There was a half an appeal, but obviously it came off his hip, so it couldn't be given out, and just outside the leg stump, and they're through for a leg bye. Yeah, the Rory Burns one, when you see it, I'm not surprised it wasn't given out, because it was a tangle of arms, legs, bat, pad, everything. But when you see the replay, it was dead straight and hitting. Well, enough of it because it was given not out on the field, obviously. Am I right in thinking that Kettleborough had not one decision overturned on LBW for about 2 or 3 years?
That was Michael Goff.
And now he's at about... that was Goff, was it?
He went he went nearly 4 years without having one overturned. In fact, before he had one overturned in the West Indies series, the last person to overturn one against him was Misbah.
Okay, right. Well, even he's had a couple overturned recently, but that's going to happen. You're an umpire, but it's a pretty damn fine record for Michael Goff there.
Illingworth, at the other end, was umpire of the year last year.
Yeah, I like his manner with the players. This one moves a lot. Would have been a decent ball to a left-hander, but unfortunately he's bowling to Josh Butler, who's right-handed. Sort of pitched on leg or just outside, and then jagged off the seam down the leg side. And a difficult take for Mr. Rizwan.
Neymar Butlin says, serious question now, did they win the toss? Do you mean Pakistan or do you mean England? I have a tactical query. Okay.
Pakistan won the toss, didn't they? And batted.
They did.
Yep.
Oh, we've had 20 quid.
Oh, yeah?
From
whom?
Conor McNally.
Oh, wonderful stuff. Okay, over to you then. I think we'll stick with 20 quid. We haven't got much time left.
Right, Shaheen is into ball, left arm over. And this is a cross Butler and taken by Rizwan. And there is no run.
The rest of us aren't doing Scottish. We're not doing British Connolly? British Colony. I meant to say Billy Connolly, and somehow it came out as British
That's
Connolly.
what they call me sometimes in Zimbabwe.
Yes, okay. Abhishek says, Pope the Little v Kid Nassim would be delicious. Pope the Little, yes, okay. Quite like that. Absolutely.
Right, Butler, he's wearing one massive shoe. 2 slips and a gully. I don't even know what a gully is. Shaheen is into bowl, and this is through without being played at all with the shillelagh, and it's taken by Rizwan.
Point of order, isn't the shillelagh Irish?
It's all Celtic, my friend.
I think we should tweet out that. This will probably excite the Twitter sphere if we tell people that we're going to have 20 minutes of Billy Connolly commentating on the cricket. They know. Okay, fair enough. Shivam Vyas has joined us for once. He hasn't been with us for some time, and he says, "What's up, guys? Been long." And he has a very unpopular opinion that might trigger us. He says Joe Root is overrated.
Shaheen's coming around the wickets, and it's left alone again outside the fucking off stump.
And Conor McNally comes back and says, "Yeah, I'll give him 20 quid, but how much to make Grubby stop?"
Oh, lots more.
Lots more. If it took 20 to get him to do it, I mean, to actually make him stop, it's going to take at least 40, I would have thought.
I would think so, yeah. Yeah, on Root being overrated, Nasser Hussain talking about Babar Azam yesterday said it's a Fab 5 and Babar's in it. It's a Fab 4 and Root's not in it, I think.
I don't agree with that. I really don't, and I'll tell you why.
Shaheen around the wicket once more, it's full. Oh, it's driven with all the beauty of a deep-fried Mars bar for 4 runs.
Racist.
I've got to say, this is fucking hard.
I can imagine it is. I can actually feel that you are going away from Billy Connolly. I think you may be in Ian McGaskill territory by now.
That was a lovely shot by Butler. Not a lot of foot movement, but just transferred his weight, just that little half step, and punched it very well with the full face of the bat down the ground.
I think that Babar Azam, much as I love him and think he's a fantastic batsman, I think he's got to do it for a bit longer, what he's been doing. I think Root, sometimes, he did go through a patch where he wasn't quite on song, whether it's the captaincy, who knows. I just sometimes think with Root, he tries to play these shots that he doesn't really need to try, and that may be the ego that we were talking about before. Much earlier in the day, and Jono and I were sort of mulling it over, that he wants to be able to play extra special shots.
It's Yasir who's into bowl to poop, tucking it into the leg side, and they're back for 2 runs. I think we should all do what we want all the fucking time.
Yeah, I can't keep accents up for more than about 8 seconds.
Neither can I.
But it's enjoyable hearing you try.
20 quid well spent.
Quickly, give us some money to
Yes, it. Outside your stump, a big spinner. I haven't seen a spinner that big since my Auntie Marjorie came round with some sort of, I don't know, sex toy.
Abandoned metaphor.
Here he comes again, it's full. And it's pushed. And he's through for a quick single.
What's the best word?
I've not seen a man run that quickly since my Uncle Roger was caught round the back where he shouldn't have been.
I wonder what the best word is to try and get Grubby to say in this accent.
Oh.
That's the very one. 82 for fucking 4.
Abhishek says Root needs to convert his 10s into 20s, perhaps. Root wouldn't even be my candidate for England for the top batsman club, says Peter Lloyd.
Oh, to leave.
What? Well, he's left that alone. Like a fat man does not leave a pie alone. And it's through to Rizwan. The one word I can still keep in this accent.
He had no idea how much that ball was going to turn Joss Butler. That's a very bold leave.
Daniel Keeley's enjoying it anyway.
Oh, well, he's not bloody paid. Butler in a bit of a tangle there, but he just dobs it out onto the leg side.
I think
there is no run.
That dobbed out off Rizwan's gloves. That beat the outside edge completely. So an absolute beauty. Pitched outside leg and missed his outside edge.
I've got some Jaffa cakes next door. They're great. Oh, this is edged away past the man at slip, and they come through for a single. Would you believe it?
Would you believe it? Daniel Keeley says, when did Billy Connolly become a gorilla? Ace impression, he says. Ace impression. I think. Are
you partially deaf?
He is now. Josie Oak says, maybe do the commentary in an Ian Paisley accent. That might be fun. But it might be offensive to one or two of our friends.
I'm going to say, we've worked so hard to get the Irish cricket fans on side.
Yeah, fantastic accent, says Shivan Vyas. Lovely commentary. Vast full name from Billy Connolly might be good, says Chris TB. Yeah, try that. Chimanda Vyas' full name and Billy Connolly.
I'm going to ask one of my colleagues to write it into the chat function. I'll give it a bash.
Okay, well, I won't be doing that. I'm going to leave that to Knackle. Also, you're dangerously sounding like George Galloway. Yeah, I'm not sure that's quite so...
From a geographical perspective, I'll take it. Shaheen is in, he bowls one outside the off stump, and Butler, he lets it go through for fucking nothing. 83 for 4. Christ, I'll be requiring some sort of stotty or something after this.
Andrew Veer says it may be the Sauvignon and rum speaking. That's what he had, not you, Grubby. But Billy is excellent. And Diane Patterson says you could do with a bit more scotch to keep it up.
What, in the accent or in the belly?
Good question. Good question.
Right. At the end of this over, I'll be giving you Chaminder Vass's full name, would you believe? Shaheen is into ball outside the off stump, and Butler allows it to pass through the keeper.
And now we're going West Country. Now it's going old farmer.
Grits and Grats says, I think with the number of bearded men in the Gorilla team, you should all reenact the Connolly-Kenny Everett in drag sketch for at least one full session tomorrow.
Don't be such a Cupid stunt.
But I don't think we got Grubby tomorrow, unfortunately, and he's the only one stupid enough to do it. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Right. Listen to this as Shaheen comes into bowl again outside, around the wicket, outside the off stump, and Butler again ignores it like my wife's ignored me for the past 35 years.
Pamela Stevenson?
That did go a bit farmerish, didn't it, that time?
It did a bit. Messi Jez says...
35 years.
Fuck me drunk, he says. I fell asleep to rest my eyes for a bit and awoke to the sound of a crazy Scotsman taking the piss.
Who says that?
That's Messi Jez.
Messi! You wee bastard. 83 for 4 is the score, lest we forget. Butler has 9, Pope 43. Butler's on strike. 2 slips in place. He defends this up to mid-on. There's no run.
Leah, the Wicked Witch, takes us away from Scottish accents just for a little while. She says, if Joss makes 7 more runs, he will probably be handed the captaincy for the second test, in addition to the gloves, while Ed Smith lights a candle in a creepy shine hidden in a cupboard. I can imagine that.
Ed Smith is quite a creepy looking man, particularly when he's wearing those dark sunglasses.
Oh yes, indeed. Yeah, we've got the Chaminder Vass. You're going to have to do it at the end of the over, Grubby.
Grubby's not here.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Billy.
Huge. Half an appeal there for LBW, which even I, as a Scotsman, know cannot be given. As it pitched outside leg, he's come back over the wicket, and it's hit him around about the goalies as well. So nothing doing there.
Very many people coming forward with the full name of Chaminder Vass, so I think there is no escape from this, Billy.
No, I've got it on the screen in front of me. Only 1 ball to go before I've got to do this bollocks.
There's a light meter coming out.
In my living room there is. This is defended into the leg side by Joss Butler. Right, here we go. Warnakula Suraya. I hope none of my Sri Lankan friends are listening, by the way. Pate Bendige Ushanta Joseph Chaminder Vass. Stick that up your pipe.
We're going to have to clip that and use that as a jingle.
Yes, indeed. Andrew Veer says, could you get Billy to tell us about his brand new combine harvester?
I've only got 34 acres.
Just the 34?
But you've got 43, Hendo.
Well, yeah, I'm a man of the land. I toil by day. Readily, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, tending to the sheep.
What are you talking? You've a tartan, don't you?
I do, aye.
Yassir starts a new over, and young Pope. I love the Pope. There's a joke about the Pope, in fact, is forward in defence.
Well, I think it'd be a fantastic. There'd be a fantastic joke, Beasley.
Pope faces up once again and allows it to pass by through to Rizwan, my favourite player.
That was a very active leave from Ollie Pope. Front foot went outside leg stump, back foot went outside off stump, then he turned around through 180.
It's still 83 for 4, would you believe? Like Yassir Shah's beard also, this is pushed by the busy Pope, and he takes a Red Bull single up to mid-off.
Yeah, first run in 9
I'm sure there's a
deliveries.
joke about I'm sure there's a joke about busy Popes as well, but I probably shouldn't go there.
It's a busy job.
It is a busy job, absolutely. 84 for 4, Butler 9, Pope 44. Pope 44 from 84. Pretty good stuff, this.
Just notice Shan Masood has terrible teeth.
Really?
Yeah, they're very close together and a bit yellow.
Oh, okay. Conor McNally says, I didn't realise my 20 quid would get me a full Meisner method acting performance from Grubby. Someone alert the BAFTAs. Unfortunately, we had the virtual BAFTAs last week. I think he's going to have to wait till next year.
Up the slips in place as he goes back to this one, does Butler. He's going to get to double figures with this fantastically timed back foot drive through cover point. Never heard Billy Connolly talking those regal terms about a cricket shot. I'm never likely to.
This is
the way you get shot for crossing a boundary,
This is probably tweet of the day. It's coming from Jeff Perkins. Who else would it come from? He says the batting side have appealed against the accent.
That's been overturned on review, Jeff. Bad luck. 88 for 4, and another cut by Butler. This one's square of the wicket. It's been fielded this time. A little divot comes up out of the turf, but they're through for a couple. 90 for 4 it is now. Butler has 15 and Pope 44.
I like that from
I think this is the longest session of accented commentary we've had, probably in the guerrilla years.
I was going to say since Lord Norcroft left. Mohammed Abbas is quite interesting though. He's had to run twice now, sort of 10 yards to his right, and it left him saying, "Why didn't you just put me there?"
Left alone outside the off stump. I had to run twice today, once for the bus and once away from a copper. Do you want to hear my Pope joke? Couple of Glaswegians go and see the Pope in the Vatican, and they're having a couple of drinks. And they're in a bar and they say, "What does the Pope drink?" And they say, "Crème de menthe." They say, "Oh, well, right enough, we'll have a couple of pints of that then." After 2 of them, they look out the window and say, "No wonder he gets carried around on that fucking chair."
Hey.
Only got 7 minutes more of this, listeners.
I'm on my fucking knees. 90 for 4, and Shaheen is going to continue. He may last longer than me. 2 slips, a gully, whatever the fuck that is. Mid on, mid off, cover point, mid wicket. And he comes now, the left-hander, left armour, over the wicket. That's a wide in anyone's language, isn't it?
Certainly in Glaswegian, yes.
Not given.
No given. Fucking corrupt, these umpires.
Need 20 more runs for Hombre Nuevo to win the GPL.
Ooh, that's going a bit, isn't it? It would need some fireworks a little bit from England. We've only got 6 minutes left this evening.
Right, Shaheen. He's in again. Very wide of the crease, even though he's bowling over the wicket to the right-handed Pope. Slants across him and there's no run.
Someone is warming up at long leg. I wonder if it's Shadab.
Well, yes, it would be worth giving him an over, wouldn't it? I think. Yasir Shah bowled a reasonably decent spell. Certainly worth having a look at him.
Yeah,
why not have a look at everyone tonight?
He's gone for 35 off his 6 overs. He's dragged the odd one short, but did get the wicket of the England captain.
Yep.
Ollie Pope has 44. He's on strike. And he's forward to this one, playing up to mid-off. There's no run. Really fucking difficult, isn't it? Staying in character.
You're doing a...
I've no idea how Fred Titmus does it all the time. For years, it seems.
That was very close to a back foot no ball from Shaheen Shah Afridi. Because he's so wide.
Who's that going to be called by? The fucking 5th umpire or something?
The umpire was having a little word.
Here comes Shaheen again over the wicket. And it's pushed. And they've gone for another fucking quick single. I cannot believe it. But they've made it. 91 for 4.
Now, Leah seems to think that you didn't read the whole of Chaminda Vass's name out. I'm not quite sure what you missed. It seemed like there was quite a lot in that. Shivan Vyas says, Aussie and Indian accents, please. I'm not sure we should go there. Ravi Nair has written a little tome towards your mother, Billy. He says, Dear Barbara, happy birthday. I thought you ought to know your son's wife has ignored him for the last 35 years. Perhaps the Gorbals upbringing was a good thing for Billy McGrubster. Yours with the love, the Gorilla Arty.
Right, I shall put that in the post, second class. Butler has 15 of the finest runs. Shaheen is into bowl to him. A fuller ball, driven back, and Pope's on his arse again.
He fell out of his chair, obviously. He was actually diving to get back because he was a little bit worried that that was going to deflect off Shaheen's hand and into the wicket and he'd run out. But yeah, it was quite spectacular.
He's had to dive for his crease a couple of times. He's a very muddy Pope.
Very muddy Pope.
A mucky Pope.
Don't see many of them.
No, not since the bad old
Gregory
days.
the Ninth.
Not since the bad old days of the Borgias, certainly.
One ball left in this over. Shaheen bowls it, and that is angled down to gully. There's no run. 91 for 4 after 27.
Yeah, clever ball from Shaheen there. He bowled him a very much slower cutter there. He ended up having to wait for it. That was only 73 miles an hour. Just an interesting variation. It didn't catch Butler out. He did have time to deal with it, but it's always good to see them varying pace and trying something a little bit different. Colin Rosenthal says, my wife has just joined me on the sofa and is very puzzled at the appearance of Billy Connolly on the commentary team.
All the big names here, don't they? And me. I wonder why he bowled that little off spinner there. Yeah, what? If he'd got an edge, it never would have carried, would it?
Well, he's going for the little push drive into the covers that gets caught, isn't he?
I suppose so. Something like that, or just trying to get into play too early. Leading edge is always
good point.
Always a possibility.
I'm new to this game. I don't know. This is defended off the back foot by Pope. In the leg side, there's no run.
It's a dusty Pope now. There's a real puff of dust as he shuffled his feet back in the crease there.
The Jersey Jingler, one of our great jinglers, Robert Peel, says, please
Robert
read
Peel?
What did I say, Robert Peel?
Full delivery pushed that by Pope into the offside. There's no run.
What a fantastic notion.
Yeah, Messi Jez. I'll come back to the Jersey Jingler in a minute, but Messi Jez says, I have to say this leaves Norcroft for dead. Well worth waking up for. You've been asleep? What have you been doing? Oh yes, you just rest your eyes, didn't you? Rested your eyes.
Messi never fucking sleeps. This is cut from quite close to his body by Pope and fielded at point.
Now, Billy, can you see the Twitter feed at the moment, or not really?
Not right now.
I can drop this one in the chat for you.
Yeah, drop it in the chat, and I think you should do it. I think you should do the joke in the Billy Colony accent.
Is it Billy Colony? You've gone.
I know. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's been a long day.
Who slips in play at the moment and a short leg. Pope uses his feet very well. Driven straight. We're going to have a look at this because there's been a flick off Yassir's fingers that's hit the stumps at their own striker's end, and there might be a chance of a run out. Don't look too excited to me, do they?
They don't really.
Yassir's already at the end of his mark.
Right, while we're waiting for this, I'll do this Richard Peel joke.
Oh, I don't think you got time. I don't think you got time between balls. I really don't.
Well, he's definitely flicked his fingers.
Look at this, aren't we?
Yeah, we are going to have a look at this. Oh, he's fine. He's fine.
He's well then.
No problem.
Right.
Aye.
It's the end of the over.
Yeah, I think so.
Which will be the end of the day's play.
That's the very one. Love that. Right, come on, you got homes to go to. This is turned into the leg side by Pope. Going to take one, the kid does the fielding, and there is one more to the total. It's 92 for 4.
Well, it's been a fantastic day's cricket, hasn't it? It really has been brilliant. It's swung one way and the other. I think you can say that, but that's not to preempt the joke that you're about to read out.
More than once, I think, after a rather silly end to yesterday.
Indeed.
Yassir comes in to complete the over, and that's allowed to pass through to the keeper by Butler. 92 for 4. And that is it for the day. 92 for 4 overnight. England in response to Pakistan's 320 something. I'll leave you with a joke, and then I'm going for a fucking lie down for the rest of my life. One sex therapist claims that the most effective way to arouse your man is to spend 10 minutes licking his ears. Personally, I think it's bollocks.
Hey, well, I hope you enjoyed that Jersey Jingler. That was especially for you, which was a song written and sung by Kylie Minogue, was it not? Anyway, yes, Ollie Pope goes off. He has been very busy from the outset in this innings, and he's hauled England back from one of their brinks. There may be other brinks to come, probably will, knowing England, but he's gone past 40 and has batted with great positivity and has tried to ensure that Pakistan can't get two on top. But it's been a wonderful day's cricket. This morning, England came out firing. They came out firing really well. They got a wicket in the first over. That wicket was that of Babar Azam, 69 not out overnight. He edged the ball to slip. And before long, they found themselves 170 for 5. But there was a very useful little partnership between Shadab Khan and Shan Masood. Shan Masood, who went on to record a big 100, a daddy 100 by anyone's gathering, or a reckoning, should I say. And in the end, they managed to get themselves up to 326. I'll go through the card and the people that were lost today. Babar Azam was caught root bowled Anderson for 69. Asad Shafiq went caught Stokes bowled Broad for 7. Mohammed Rizwan hung around for a little while but was then caught by Butler off a beautiful Wokes delivery for 9. Shadab Khan had batted really well, 45 off 76 balls. The running between the wickets had been very enterprising. He finally got frustrated by Dominic Best, tried to heave him over the infield, but put up a high catch for Joe Root to take at mid-on. He went for 45. Yasir Shah was LBW to Archer, who was strangely ignored for much of the afternoon session when England were at their lowest, really, and he didn't look a very happy chap, has to be said. He got 2 wickets and 2 balls because Mohammed Abbas went first delivery, caught Root, bowled Archer for a duck. Shaheen Shah Afridi made 9 not out. Nasim Shah was caught Butler off Broad for a duck in his first innings in England. The bowling figures ended up being Jimmy Anderson, 19 overs, 6 maidens, 1 for 63. Stuart Broad, 22.3 overs, 9 maidens, 3 for 54. Chris Wokes, 20 overs, 6 maidens, 2 for 43. Jofra Archer, 22 overs, 4 maidens, 3 for 59. Dominic Best, 20 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 74. And Joe Root, 6 overs, no maidens, 25 for no wicket. And most of those Root overs came when he was trying to get the new ball as quickly as possible, but allowed Pakistan after lunch to get 27 quick runs and seize the impetus back from England. But eventually England forced their way back in. When they had to bat, Rory Burns was first to go. LBW to Shaheen Shah Afridi for 4. Dominic Sibley was done by one that broke back from Mohammed Abbas. Almost a foot, I would say. Absolutely unplayable delivery. He was LBW for 8. Ben Stokes, batting a good 1.5 foot outside his crease, was done by a beauty from Mohammed Abbas from round the wicket as he made it go away, beat him on the outside edge, clip his off stump. He also went for a duck. Joe Root and Ollie Pope did bridges, took the score on to 62. 50 before Joe Root tried to cut one a little bit too close to him. Was caught behind. We saw a wicket catch behind the wicket standing up. He made 14. Ollie Pope remains 46 not out, and Jos Buttler has actually looked pretty good since he's come in. He's 15 not out from 27 deliveries. The bowling figures this evening from Pakistan: Shaheen Afridi, 9 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 12. He was getting that ball to talk in a Wasim Akram accent this evening at one point. Mohammed Abbas, 7 overs, no maidens, 2 for 24. Nasim Shah, the 17-year-old, we got the first sight of him, 5 overs, 2 maidens, none for 18. And Yasir Shah, 7 overs, no maidens, a little bit expensive, but he also did pick up the important wicket of Joe Root, 1 for 36. What a day of contrasting fortunes in different sessions for both sides, Knackle.
England were absolutely brilliant this morning, and then absolutely execrable for about an hour after lunch. They gave Pakistan absolutely nothing in that first session. 7 maidens worth of dot balls in a row after Babar Azam got out driving almost sort of Kohli-like in a similar manner, really throwing his hands at a ball early on before he'd quite got set, and then wickets fell around Shan Masood. Rizwan didn't really look particularly comfortable. Getting Asad Shafiq early was a big deal. We know how good a player he is, having seen him for so long. But then after lunch, basically when Root and Bess were neither bowling dry nor trying to take wickets really as the run up to the second new ball, that little spell of 5 overs number 27 just kick-started Pakistan again, and from then they really ran England ragged to some extent. And then we had this after Broad and Anderson got milked around and nudged and nurdled, we had England getting desperate. We had Chris Wokes trying to bowl like Neil Wagner, which made no sense at all. And then Archer came on and restored some sanity by targeting the top of off stump.
Well, the curious thing was that ignoring Archer for so long in the afternoon, it seemed very strange, and we obviously weren't the only people thinking that. I mean, I looked at various websites and saw the same sort of questions being raised. The fact that the camera was on him at long leg for quite some time suggests that the Sky commentators were wondering what was going on, and he didn't really celebrate when he got that first wicket. I mean, he did when he got the second, the next ball, but he seemed just a little bit peeved with life. Whether something had gone on at lunchtime, it's difficult to know, but it really was hard to understand where England were coming from at that point. However, after what we've seen tonight, some great bowling from Shaheen Afridi and from Mohammad Abbas, it leaves this absolutely beautifully and excitingly poised overnight, does it not?
It does, yeah. I don't know where that Scottish fella's gone, but he's left the building. Although his mum has just sent a message saying she's gone for a lie down. Anyway, I mean, Pakistan well on top at the moment, you'd have to say, and deservedly so. I think Shan Masood batted regally, really. He's really come to himself. He's made those little adjustments, and he deserves all that success. And then the bowlers were terrific, weren't they? In those first couple of spells, I think at least 2 of the first 4 wickets to fall were unplayable deliveries. Really, the one that Stokes got, I don't think anyone as a left-hander could have played that really, and the Sibley one similar. So Pakistan deservedly on top, but 3 days to go. England got a lot of work to do in this first innings, particularly when you think they've got to bat last on a wearing, drying pitch.
Well, also, I mean, the other thing is, do they use up a bit of time? I mean, this has all happened quite quickly. 3 quick wickets, and England's scoring rate has been pretty good, hasn't it? So the game is moving on quite quickly. Perhaps England need to just take stock and slow things down a little bit. Or maybe they're thinking of getting a lead and putting Pakistan under pressure. Who can say? Anyway, we shall see tomorrow. It's going to be an absolutely fascinating, certainly first hour, and probably for the remaining 5 hours of the day, it's going to be equally fascinating. So please don't forget to join us. Don't forget to support us via patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket. Join us and take part in the GPL tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a fantastic interview at lunchtime. Tony Bishop is going to talk to Ashley Gray about his book on Caribbean players going down to South Africa. So listen in for that, if nothing else. Until 10:50 a.m. BST tomorrow, it's goodbye from all of us here at Gorilla Cricket. Please join us in the morning.
Guerrilla Cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla Cricket. Whoa. Guerrilla. Take guard, man the barricades, patrol the cover boundary. At last the time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every